Nice! Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear your go, go, go. I wanna see you rolling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Pretty much. They play, you win.
Hello and welcome back to the Esports Development Championship, which is brought to you by Gaming Malta, a home of gaming excellence. Of course, we're going to be going into what will be our second matchup of today, and again, we will be losing one of our two teams. Budapest Five, they managed to survive that first playthrough as they faced off against Illuminar and sent them packing. Now Scriv, they have to go up against forZe, a team that have brought in a couple of new players, removing the likes of Almeza and Facecrack from their roster. And the question I sort of have for you is, do you think it will make a difference? Is this going to improve this team drastically, or is it still going to be a work in progress?
I mean, there certainly could be some of that infamous honeymoon period with the changes and whatnot. They were definitely on a downward trajectory in a team that famously have been rigid with their five-man lineup, you know, and not changed through the thick and thin. So I feel finally coming to their wits' end, so to speak. As far as I'm aware, those players are still under the org and everything, and Forrester was kind of rumored, but nothing seemed to have been set in stone. Now they've moved two players, right? So I think they themselves are still kind of testing the water with it. In terms of the matchup, I don't think it makes too much of a difference anyway. The core of Zapower, Jerry, Flit are absolutely solid. forZe's looked a little shaky, did come alive on Mirage, but I mean, if he can barely keep up with Snacks on the AWP, then Zapower is a whole other beast. And yeah, like I say, I just think pound for pound, not too familiar with Warrow, but when it comes to the other four members, I do feel there's just more individual prowess on this forZe lineup, really.
Well, that was the thing. We sort of heard rumors that forZe were going to be picking up Forrester, and that was someone I was actually excited to see, because I think he was easily the best player in Hard Legion. I don't think there was much of an argument there. Crad was good, but didn't quite match up, I don't think, especially with how young Forrester is, still 20 years of age. And then we saw him stand in for Namiga as well, did a pretty decent job there, had to fill the shoes of Lollipop, who's someone that I've at least come to love watching play. So coming into this forZe roster, I think it definitely adds quite a lot of firepower. I don't think there's any arguments there. The problem I foresee is that it was always sort of the structure and the decision-making of this forZe team that sort of let things down. Now, they are going to be favored in this one. I don't really blame people at home for going in that direction. Like the Budapest Five have a sort of almost like they've upset Illuminar, but it's like they have to do it back-to-back. And in terms of an individual level, they are not quite on the level of a forZe just yet. Like some of the players on that roster, you mentioned Power as one. Like he is ridiculous with the AWP. Flit as well has had his moments, and again, another young player that's slowly grinding his way through. And also, I'm a big fan of Jerry, and that's why I'm glad we've kind of seen a change in this roster, like bringing in some young and up-and-coming talent, because I think he's someone that has a lot of set pieces, has a lot of ideas, especially on the CT side with like different setups for different rounds at trying to counter opponents. The problem is I do think that there were some players within the team previously that not necessarily ignored, but would sometimes like go on a much more looser style. And I'm hoping that the sort of the young guns that he brought in are just ready to play those more supportive positions. Maybe not so much Forrester. I think he'll probably be on a lurk, or I hope he is. But nonetheless, it's one of those situations where I kind of look at this and go, okay, there's opportunities for them here. Like, if he can get everything set up and get everything working, they could easily challenge as like a top 20 team. Right now, though, I don't think they're even close.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of work to be done. Again, bringing it back down to this matchup, I think it should be doable, for like fairly doable. There's maybe some worlds that you can see Budapest Five having some kind of a leg up, but like it needs this new roster to be very, very messy. Even if they just slot them into similar positions as FaceCrack and Almeza, you'd still assume that the protocols and the structure that the core three already bring is enough. So yeah, I think in the long term, we'll have to keep our eyes on it, see where it goes. We may well see some of the names return into the lineup here, but I think they are just kind of recognizing and paying heed to the fact that something has to change. They've been through these up and down turns and always kind of plateauing at, breaking into a top 20, like you say, never quite solidly getting there. Maybe they spend a little bit of time there where they can contest against some teams that are on like a bad run of form, maybe. But something needs to change for them, and maybe these new players are it. But we are straight into the pistol, of course. Exit Power opening things up here on Nuke, looking very good straight out of the gate for forZe.
Yeah, a decent start for sure, but in the meantime, they do lose the ramp control, and the ramp back around from forZe. Lightning fast shot into forZe, who's caught quite far out of position. He's actually going to find himself another one as well, looking to slaughter his opponents, but Flit comes in with an impactful double. The trade's going back and forth once again in a 2v2 situation, and both CTs now rotating as the Ts make their way on towards the B site.
Oh, Flit in the perfect position. Will get checked, but my goodness, that is such a good spot for him. He's so unlucky. He feels that maybe the player's coming from ramp. I don't know, maybe Jerry didn't have eyes on it. It's definitely a blunder, as they say, that's given Fleeve a really good chance into this, actually. The 1v1, the bomb plant coming in nice and clean. Jerry on his way up. No armor to speak of. So really needs to land the heady quickly. Does have a kit. Oh, and there's a chance, if he just goes for the hold here, which he is indeed going to do, that he will get the pistol secured. Yeah, that's very unfortunate for Fleeve. He wanted to go for a reposition, and 10 seconds is enough time. 5, certainly not. Does get the kill at the end, but it's all in vain. forZe come away with the pistol.
And it seems like as a minimum here, we're going to get a hero rifle. In fact, no, Budapest Five are all in on this round, and rightly so. The economy allows for them to get a decent amount of rifles, even an SMG and a scout in the mix as well. And in terms of the purchases, they've come up with a better buy. That is the unfortunate truth of Counter-Strike nowadays. If you get enough kills alongside a bomb plant, you can easily set yourself up for a second round purchase. So, XC Power needing to work some magic with the scout. Definitely a man who can, but fairly inconsistent one at that. Fleeve already going to take off his head, and this allows Jerry, forces Jerry, to try and re-aggress. A freebie kill at least will mean a parting gift is handed to Color, and that will be another rifle on the ground, but the fact is they'll be able to retrieve any extra weaponry at this point.
Edging their way in. Worth noting again, by the way, this is the pick of Budapest Five, so a terrible ride, it has to be said, on their showing against Illuminar, and now they pick it again. So I don't know what the approach will be. Already their B hit percentage is around the same as it was the first time we saw it. So definitely approaching things a bit differently here. 35 seconds, though, and they've really slowed things down. Some players down below, some up top. An interesting approach. Fleeve making his way in through control, about to meet a player as well. Does manage to drop Jerry. In fact, they come from ramp, and Flit is so very ready for it. Great position from him. And that might just be the nail in the coffin. It's again, a really hard round to follow. That frag will definitely do it, though. 10 seconds left. No time at all for Corey to retrieve the bomb, get the plant, fight his way out. It's just not going to happen. So, close, but forZe, they fend off against a pretty strong buy from Budapest Five, all things considered.
More interesting as well is Flit is playing incredibly well. Odds now more firmly in the favor of forZe, that they've got off to a good start. But he is someone that I feel like his consistency dropped significantly over the last few months. Like, I know that he was previously at school. I think finished his exams like a few months ago and has started to grind or get back on the grind. Obviously with the online format, that sort of gives him a little bit more space to do so. I'm hoping that we'll now see get the best out of him, because he is definitely a young talent within the CIS scene. Sure, there's plenty of those. Axile, Shiro, Magix as well. But if he can add his name to the list, it gets pretty scary. The T side have invested a bit of money into this round on forZe. Well, speaking of young talent, he's a name I might have missed off the list. forZe 3-0. The T's are going to be able to get a buy into this one. However, still there'll be a piece or two missing. You can see Fleeve only with a single smoke and not enough to buy anything more. And on the other side of things, in a pretty good spot. forZe with a hell of a lot of cash, $6,000 already. Flip with enough to buy into the next round. Sure, they've lost a few pieces here and there. But the reason their finances might look a little bit lower is because XE now has his AWP.
Scary times ahead. Waro, 2k to give him his full title, but I think Waro rolls off a little better. Comes in with the first flip, meanwhile. Head cleanly taken off. XE has to chill quite far away from the action. So they've lost a bit of control towards B. Once again, B hit coming in here from Budapest Five. Trying to work their way in. That's actually a frag from behind, I believe. Yeah, Coolio coming through from the site itself to find the double. forZe is still alive. Too many targets for him to choose from. And a 1-on-3 required for the big man on the AWP. Bomb has yet to go down. Playing contact, you never know. He might just catch a player off guard, but a lot of work to do, and I think it must be out of the question. They're really playing the time here as well, hoping to catch him off guard, catch him thinking B is clear, they've gone back A. Something along those lines. They're really just playing the time smart, though.
Yeah, Fleeve finally going to make his way down towards the bomb site. Might actually get caught. That's a freebie on the first. I was looking at this and thinking, okay, XE should just be saving his gun, but after finding an easy pick on the rotating player, the bomb, it's still not being planted. He's going to try and isolate these jewels, waiting for the player to try and cross back, although Coolio, that would be a huge mistake if he did. He's got his teammate watching the angles anyway, so realistically, there shouldn't be much for XE to get out of this position. forZe is ready and waiting, and Budapest 5 do get themselves around. Still a little bit too close for comfort, but a free AWP, and, well, not really enough money to fall by, but the CT side, they're actually going to throw over an AWP, so it's not a pretty buy, but thanks to the extra money from forZe and him sacrificing, oh, for God's sake, don't knife in the spawn!
Not hard. Really not hard. I don't know, man. Just gotta remember, mate, you know, it's not Face It. Even then, I think they've incorporated into their regular games. Either way, there's no time to joke about, Tom, because they're just charging straight in here. Really, really bringing it to forZe. And, well, it's not going so hot, he says. Julio finds a key one. Zapower, though, is up through the vent, inside the smoke, dropping the bomb. So now all left on to Coolio to clutch up against two. Not going to happen. Straight into the crosshair of the AWP. And forZe are right back into, well, what they were doing before. I don't know. Budapest 5, like, just charging into A. Seems they really, really want to make the A bomb site work. But every time they try, it just doesn't. Obviously, this going off of our earlier series as well against Illuminar.
Yeah, I think in the Luminar, I saw it as a problem. I have no problem with teams going aggressive like that. It's just when they rinse and repeat it again and again with no variation. The problem in that round as well is, although they have a Molotov that's landing on the hut, it has a position that is not being cleared. And it just gives that extra space over. Waro, XM, it's going to get one. forZe are a bit of a whiff, and actually, this has started to look fairly good. They found a couple of kills, but Jerry drops the bomb in the open. This makes things very difficult, especially with teammates rotating, and XE hasn't really been missing a beat since he got this AWP in hand, and, well, that will continue. A costly round, considering what it was for forZe. The pistol's actually doing a relative amount of damage, but they are still firmly in the lead. 5-1 up, money not being built just yet. If the T's can win this round, they're right back into things.
Yeah, it definitely feels, I think, a little further apart than it should be. So, they do have potential, like you say, on that T side, to close the gap quickly. But forZe are, of course, not going to allow them to do that in their minds. Another outside execute coming in, but not really working off of the pressure of it. Seems we are set for another A push, this time slightly different, coming from Squeaky instead. Corey flicking across for a double. Dead bodies everywhere on that CT end. There has been one frag come in, Fleeve falling, but still a 4-on-3, still a solid advantage now for Budapest Five. Not looking too good, Zapower. I'd imagine a cheeky bit of a up and down the ladder for that wall bang, but all the same. Do they want to go for this? I guess so. Finding heads, finding frags into a 2-on-2. Looking more and more likely. Got to track down this player that's gone towards Squeaky. That is a key frag for Flit to pick up. It's now all on to forZe. The bomb pretty far ticked, so he has a lot of time to play with. Gets aggressive into Zapower. Love that. And now leaving it in the one-on-one against Flit. Takes him down as well. So it's close. Certainly will be costly in the long run. But Budapest Five proving they are capable of fighting back.
Oh yeah, it seems to be the same as what we saw on Mirage, where it's like their afterplants aren't particularly good, but forZe will bail them out of those situations, and he's done it again. A 1v2 clutch that never really should have been needed, but the fact is, again, Flit's still on a tear, and actually they're going to invest into this one. Money is so bad on the side of forZe that they're going to put everything into this round. Kolor has been tagged fairly heavily in the early stages, and in fact the T-side buy is not great either. 3 MAC-10s thrown into a round where your opponents are buying. Sure, it's only pistols, but most of the time, if anything, a lot of Jews will favor the Deeg instead of that MAC-10. The maneuverability of the MAC-10 makes it scary, but the Deeg 2-shot to the chest. And, of course, 1 to the head. Makes it a completely different beast. Nonetheless, we would still expect the T's to win this round. In terms of utility, they win this one hands down. No kits available as well, so an afterplant position is a unlikely victory for forZe. But again, it seems like Budapest Five are going for a similar strategy, just waiting to go aggressive into this A site. forZe has not been cleared. He's going to hide behind the door.
Tried. He's unsuccessful. It's still a 4-on-4. The frag found by Jerry through the smoke, apparently. A tag coming in here from Zapower as well. Trying his best to drop the AWPer, who doesn't really have too much support. There you go. Fleeve finally comes around to help him out. And with that, yeah, I think Flit wants to hold on to his M4. The armor and everything that they have here also very valuable on that forZe side. So, third for Budapest Five. Kind of easy, to be honest, as to be expected, right? Just walking their way in. Finding success in the recent rounds, but still a fair amount of work to do. And we saw some strength on their CT side earlier, I suppose, but I honestly think it's the second half where things get a hell of a lot scarier for Budapest Five if they don't have enough room to work with. forZe, have so much firepower available, and I think are going to be playing a relatively puggy kind of style where they just band together, push their way into a bomb site, and overwhelm with the manpower in that second half. Of course, Hellcase there, shout out to them and all the support that they give. Codes available for 15% bonus refills, so do be sure to get amongst that. Links in the chat, banner down below, you know where to find it all. But we move into this next round, things looking very good for Budapest Five straight out the gate.
Yeah, it seems like, unfortunately for Flit, he hasn't really been able to put this rifle to use. When they have pressured him, I think he's gone down once on the ramp, and other than that, he's been fairly dominant in his position. But again, you kind of wonder if he's being utilized properly, if they're going for the same sort of plays again and again. Not going to be allowed to save anything as well, with Kolor finally making some extra cash. And more importantly, that actually gives Budapest Five a bank, which is something we've not seen from either of these teams throughout this match so far. Like, they have enough to comfortably buy into this round and maybe even the next, depending on bomb plant and damage that they do over the next couple of rounds. For the CT side, again, they have 3 smokes as a starter. We talk about these aggressive A plays that Budapest Five were going for. Note how Illuminar did very well at denying those plays with their utility. Well, there's no utility to deny it with. In fact, they're just going to send XE power to try and hold it with an AWP. It's
an option. And it seems to be the right one. Works pretty well. Gets an opener, gets away. Does need to watch his back a little as outside pressure coming through, but they're not fully acting upon it. I think kind of nervous, right? They don't quite realize actually how easy it could have been to just walk into Mini there. But that 100% is what forZe needed. Jerry, caught in transition. That's so awkward for him on the timing. forZe counting his lucky stars to be given that one. Flick, can he hold things down on ramp? Only good for one. Not really ideal for the CT side. They've lost a fair amount of control, and that early advantage that they had now out of the window. forZe going to take down Warrow, and it's actually a 3-on-2 in favor of the T side despite the opener. And on a map like Nuke, it's so hard to fight your way back in when you're a man down, and yet Budapest Five have done it. They'll call the save on that forZe side as well.
Yeah, this round is purely down to forZe, and just because of it, like he made a very intelligent play in this round. So the aggression coming out from forZe involves the AWP of Exipower. Now he's the man that normally holds outside. Budapest Five, they've done their research, they know that. So the second he gets a kill in Mini, if we could even watch it or go back and see it, like if you go in the VOD, forZe just starts running. He just runs outside. He just sprints all the way across, doesn't use any utility, no smokes, no nothing. Just runs down into secret. So the reason it looks like Jerry was caught off guard is because he was. He had absolutely no idea that anybody could have got to secret because it was a few second window that was allowed while we saw the rotation from Exipower. So very smart stuff from forZe. It looks like he just hit a couple of nice shots and that's enough to win them the round, but it was actually his mental game and his quick thinking that gets him into the position in the first place. So very well played from him. For the CT side, again, we're going to see them in an awkward financial position. Money is at least starting to build up a bit, and they are still heavily favored. Now, this is a map where it used to be incredibly CT-sided, so if you saw a 5-5 scoreline, you would start to panic. But for now, at least, it's not really as much of a problem. Like, teams definitely can pull out rounds on the T side. I'm sure many people at home will know that as well. So the odds are going to stay still, at least for this moment.
Very quickly, though, it's even back up here. forZe are, once again, down in the dumps, financially speaking. Oh, my goodness. And they kind of know it. It's a well-read round, I think, from Budapest 5 to just go for a fast vent play. The counter utility is not really there to stop that from happening. So, well played by them. They've also found a frag for themselves, and I think that'll just be the round, to be honest. Hold on to the AWP, hold on to the AK, even take the armor that you have into the next round. Doing that is another chore, however. Seems they're doing a decent enough job. Coolio trying to track down one of these AWPs. A double AWP setup, that could be something that makes a difference. The forZe are on their CT side, so power hitting his shots, but the secondary AWP Dream appears to be dead. If they can take the rifles out that they came in with, though, I think they can be happy with that on the forZe side, and it seems that will be the case.
Yeah, they're one of those teams where I would sort of wonder who would be picking up that secondary AWP if it came into play, so it may not necessarily be the end of the world that it has gone amiss, and I think they've got some impressive riflers on their squad. The thing is now they're being pushed and pulled by Budapest 5. The last time we watched them play, they were very one-dimensional. They continuously pushed the same... Well, I was going to say wound, but it wasn't even a wound. They just kept battering themselves on a brick wall, and Illumina did very well to hold it. forZe, obviously being a new roster, don't seem to have any of the sort of fundamentals in check, and they're just hoping that their individuals can drag things through. And, well, to be fair to them, in a lot of rounds, they do. Started off this one strong. Coolio eventually trades, but it's a cost of 30 or down to 35 of his HP. Exipower is actually going to drop Fleeve as well, leaving just 2 players remaining. Money's good. Might as well give this a go.
Flip. Oh, following them here. Not going to push the smoke. I mean, that's completely fair enough, but all the same, he was close to the action. Gets the information, at the very least, so they're more prepared on the A-bomb site here. Jerry in a great spot to just end the round here and now, taking that Very, very slim peak. Well done from him. It's actually forZe to come in, but all the same, he gains so much information for his team to make sure that the round is cleaned up easily. And is that who it is indeed? Yeah. Love to see it.
But it's actually going to be Waro taking the secondary orb. So again, someone I don't really know too much about, playing in different CIS mixed teams, like standing in for one win a few times. Not really seen too much of him, but obviously that's normally the case when you do see someone just burst onto the scene, and especially standing in, at least for now. I'm not sure if this is an official move, but he is going to be with forZe. This is not the start they were looking for, though. 2 players already dropped. Waro will at least get one back with that secondary orb. Flit in a good position. First kill goes his way. He actually snaps onto the second head of Coolio as well. forZe dropping into the Molotov, and already a 3-on-2 situation. It's workable, but at the same time, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, not looking good at all. forZe does get one, but just quickly dealt with. Honestly, they tried to fight their way back in. I think this is more so what Budapest Five were hoping for against the Luminar, right? Quick, fast, aggressive T side working out for them. And like I said in the pre-show way back when, they can be very hard to keep up with. When they get ahead, that super aggressive, sixth gear constantly kind of style, whether it's at the beginning of the round or later on in the round, they generally just tend to go all in. And yeah, it can be difficult. Again, Fleeve finding an opener, really getting the better of forZe here. This is certainly an interesting one. I would say that Nuke for the 5, right? Solid map for a long run. They were really, really, really good on it. But with this newer roster, not so much. Fleeve finding another 5-on-3. Looking really good here to clean up an 8th and take the half victory. Whether they get 9 is now the next question, because this round is over. Exapower, can he survive, is really all we have to find out. The fact that he even gets one there is a little ridiculous, but all the same, will go down. There's kind of money available. Of course, they're going to be buying here, but yeah, Budapest 5 coming away apparently the more dominant team in this first half. So there you go, which obviously they are. It's just surprising to say that.
Yeah, for sure. I think maybe we expected a little bit too much from forZe, considering this is a new look roster. But at the same time, we know the level of skill, at least on like 4 of the players. As I said, Waro's the relative unknown, and it seems like he's playing some of the rougher spots, like the first man on the A side to take contact most of the time. The hut position can be really difficult to play. Also seems to be fairly sacrificial with his weaponry as well, to allow other players to get going. So basically what I was saying when coming into this roster, I think I expect him to be more of the supportive player. I want to see Flit. I want to see XC Power. And speaking of Flit, he's managed to get very aggressive. The question is the player behind. And the thing that I'm sort of a bit confused of there, if Flit's gone that aggressive and he had XC Power behind him, why did XC Power leave? Like, you need to have that as a 2-man setup. You can't just allow it to be Flit trying to fight versus the world. He's never going to get away with that.
Which is weird, right? Because you could say teething issues for the newer members and whatnot, but they're the boys, you know? They've been playing together for a very long time, so it is somewhat surprising. Frags happening elsewhere to the body of T's right now. Exapower down on that B-bomb site. Immediately the attack turns around. They'll make their way up towards Heaven, giving that a go instead. Waro goes down, traded very quickly. And there it is. forZe actually, I think, lands the dink, so credit to him. It's all left onto Exapower, and well, very little information to work with. I think he vaguely knows where they're at now, thanks to the sound cues, but AWP in this close proximity, 2v1, not going to happen. Fleeve creeps around to take him down, and a 9-6 finish on the half for Budapest 5. Really well done from them. Like I said, and I'll still stand by it, I think the T side of forZe is going to be scarier here than their CT side, but all the same, having a hefty advantage to work with is really, really good for Budapest 5.
Who have we got muted in game? Is that sort of the production is actively muted, or are they just so toxic in matchmaking that they've been muted instantly by the game? I kind of hope it's that, because that would really make me laugh. Because I noticed that earlier when we looked at one of the teammates and it just said that their name was Cat, and I was like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, beautiful, love it. Love to see someone insta muted. Maybe they were just talking in game. Oh, Hexy power. He's just taken a nasty shot to the face. Down to just 1 HP, and in fact, Fleeve is going to continue, and he's someone who's impressed me today. Not necessarily someone I expected to be the star, but it looks like he's almost taken that mantle away. forZe was the one I was looking at to sort of dominate, and well, he's had his moments, but Fleeve has probably been the more consistent factor. Corey trying to clear back towards the edge of the site. They might have taken one down. The shot from Waro actually was the one that gets Fleeve, but however, the response is massive. forZe with a double, leaving Flit alone, a bit late to the party, unfortunately, and with the bomb firmly in the hands of the CT side, he'd need to pull off something pretty impressive.
The pistols ever consistent from Budapest Five. And forZe has a great angle here. Yeah, spots the gun barrel way before, spots the arms way before. Easy frag. And seemingly an easy round. Budapest 5 moving up to 10 rounds. Goodness gracious me. Those are some very one-sided odds. And really did not expect it. Yeah. Especially seeing Nuke again, I was like, oh goodness, here we go. And just not the case. A completely different showing from Budapest 5. Much more flexible in their approach, and forZe definitely some issues here. I don't quite know. I think at this point it's maybe just let's play the game, see how it goes with the newer additions, rather than trying to like cram all the practice in and whatnot. All the same, you can see there's definitely some awkwardness in places in terms of communication, positioning, and whatnot. And of course, starting the second half by losing the pistol is really not ideal. I talked about the strength of this from forZe, and we're going to have to wait a little longer to see that strength. And they will be somewhat kept at bay if Budapest 5 can find these next couple rounds cleanly.
Well, they've got to be careful. We know that this roster, facing off with Deagles, can be some of the deadliest in the world. forZe, did he actually hit the dink there? How on earth is Coolio even alive? It must have been through the corner of the box. The Deagle, normally so clinical and more Xy power. He's got his teammates back. Now Flit chimes in as well, making this a 3v2 situation. They've got a safe bomb plant. I don't know if they've spotted both players. They might have done now. Flashbang comes out from a teammate. Flit dangerously low on HP, but with both of them coming from the same angle, it's going to be really rough, and Waro leaves it onto Fleeve. As said, he's been great so far, but a 1v2 situation with both of them knowing where he is, hearing the footsteps, and the time ticking away, forZe will break back.
Well, losing the pistol but winning the force, I think, honestly, they'll be somewhat happier to be in this position. Probably mention it, you know, half the time that this happens, but it's a terrible position for Budapest 5 to be in so many different ways, right? They've lost all that kind of momentum and the build-up that they could have had in this second half. The money is in the bin for the foreseeable future, honestly. So it's really a good chance, if they play their cards right, for the T side to even things back up, or at the very least send the trajectory of that, get it started. And I think they're playing this quite well. Also, nice and slow on that default. Okay, forZe does get a bit aggressive. He is traded out. Oh, but Coolio has spotted a hole in the attack. Unfortunately taken down from the side. Exapower plays his part well. Doesn't mess it up. That could have been the difference maker. At the moment, though, it looks good. 1 on 3. As Waro find the final frag.
What was the plan? Why did he open the door? Like, they were planting right in front of him, and instead did he just want to save his pistol and Kevlar? Like, that seemed mental. Either that or was there a gun drop somewhere there? Because he sneaked into the site. No one saw him, and then he's like, let me let off my foghorn. It's like, but no, why have you done that? Well, why have you just told them where you are? Weird. I'm sure there was some reasoning behind it that I've just missed. I hope there was at least. I like this, though, from the CT side. It's something a little bit different. You don't normally see a lower bomb site stack. I will say, it's not worked. Like, they have completely lost the A site in this amount of time, and I think eventually we are going to see the realization coming out. In fact, Waro is already looking in that direction. In fact, so is the MAC-10. So it seems like forZe have worked this out to a T, but I always like when teams in rounds like this where you have absolutely nothing, just take a big risk. Do something ridiculous, like try and do some damage. If they go in your direction, great. If they don't, okay, you lose the round. And you never know. They have a good chance to actually drop an AK here. And sure, it may look like, oh, look, he just sprayed down 3 players, though, Tom. It's like he's still handed over a rifle. And now there has to try and be a response. XC Power, he's close to losing his life as well. A little bit lucky to even get away with 3 players.
Up there, though, particularly after that one, on 18 frags, the highest on the server. So really looking good. Things have very quickly shifted back if you're a bit of a live better. forZe are starting to turn things back in their favor, looking very, very good indeed. 1 or 2 more rifle rounds, and they have really taken this game by the tail. So more work to be done for sure, but it's certainly getting closer to the light at the end of the tunnel. Flit flies in to drop forZe in a matter of moments, gets himself another as Coolio just holds his A key round the corner. Trade finally comes in, but the damage definitely done. Kolor followed up on, brilliantly played to find that follow-up frag. And the 2-man advantage, it sticks around for forZe.
Yeah, utterly dominant in that round. And this is the thing that scares me with this team, is in terms of firepower now, they have XC Power, who at times has been one of the best AWPers, maybe even in the world, like in terms of his reaction speed and ability to hit his shots. I think he's fantastic. Flit, forZe is like very young, talented players. Like still, I think it's forZe's 20. Flit may even be 19. So both players with a bright future ahead of them. Waro, who I assume is coming in as a more supportive element. And then Jerry, who, again, if you look at CIS in-game leaders, there's not too many options. Like, you're looking at someone like Boomage. Sure, in coaches, there's a few, but I mean, like, straight-up IGLs, who I would say are notably, like, talented in-game leaders. I don't know if there's many at all. In fact, take a look at, like, old Gambit, for example. They changed in-game leader, like, once a week because no one wanted to do it. And they were, at the time, the second-best team within the region. So if forZe have managed to find themselves a good in-game leader, which personally I believe they have, having that with young talent and with some players who are hungry as well, I think it's worth mentioning. Like, you sort of spoke about the history of forZe. Like, there have been times where they get to, like, a grand final of the Blast events. So they've definitely been up there before, but consistently, no, you're right. They have not really done much to sort of show, okay, where even, I would say even top 4 within the region at this point. Like, I think you have maybe even 5. Like, you have to go Na'Vi, Team Spirit, Gambit, maybe even Namiga. Like, I think Namiga have got a good fight now to say that they're the 4th best team within the region. Then you could go forZe. Now, forZe, I would say, in terms of their own goals, as a minimum want to be top 3. Actually, did I miss out Virtus Pro as well? Yeah. So, yeah, so they might only be top 6. Like, that's ridiculous.
It's certainly got to be a goal of the org, the lineup, everything, like you say, to be in that top 3. And I think they're a team that have definitely been there before,
for sure,
with their previous lineup. So it's a case of kind of getting back there. And I don't know. You never really know
who
makes that kind of decision as well. So it's interesting to see how this one develops.
Yeah, I think the moves they've made are ones I like. As said, Waro still, the jury's still out. But I think in terms of how the team are even looking just individually, I think that's a good sign. Like, it seems like they've given a bit more space to Flit as well to try and be that star player. Waro's come in this game. He's currently one of the top fraggers with 17 kills. Although Fleeve, I don't know what he's just done, but he's gone ham. He found himself a double. Oh, that should be an easy kill. Cat, what are you doing? Okay, so it's Waro who's called Cat.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't know maybe what is going on there, like whether it is something to do with being muted.
It's because he's
or...
muted. Yeah, when you're muted, it puts a default name, and because I imagine this is not on matchmaking servers, it doesn't default to like bot Dan or something like that. It just goes to like a word like cat. So, all right, Coolio, smooth as butter. He gets himself out of there with a fadeaway, and now it's left onto Exy Power. A star to say the least. Don't think he'll be able to do anything here though. Corey well placed, and we're back to 11-11. Again, like I think Budapest Five are starting to prove themselves to be that sort of tier 2, tier 3 team. Like I would say either at the maybe the bottom of tier 2 and the top of tier 3. Like they're doing damage versus decent teams. I'm gonna put a caveat over forZe on this map because again, like it's very early in this current roster's time. We're probably gonna see position switches at times, and also players just get better at roles they might not have played before. So we're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. But for Budapest 5, they're starting to gain in confidence. Fleeve, as said, I've enjoyed watching him play so far. He's battling on the outside, doing lots of damage as he does, and look at the HP of 2 of the other players within forZe. They've already got an opening pick and done a further 100+ damage to other players. However, maybe overstepping the mark a little bit because forZe has managed to kill him off.
As is all too often the case for the Budapest Five, right? You know, biting off a bit more than they can chew, getting too greedy, I suppose, once they find themselves advantages. Quickly, they do lose them. So, but yeah, certainly worth noting. I think one of the big things coming into this is, yes, the roster and whatnot, but then a close second, I feel, is perhaps a lack of preparedness in this matchup from forZe, just in the sense that, you know, they played each other back in May under a different name and whatnot. Okay. Flit shutting me up with a clean headshot. Kolor trying to stay alive. Not going to happen for him. torZe's still up top, though, and I think that frag is key. Coolio also chiming in. Looked good for just a second. But forZe are unfortunately not able to get it done. The fresh blood Waro left to clutch up 1v2. The bomb certainly there to be retrieved. Only really the A bomb site as an option. Could drop down vents, but he limits his time massively. Doesn't matter, not going to make it there anyway. Then 12 rounds come in for Budapest 5. This is really getting problematic for forZe.
Yeah, it's nice to see a little bit more of their CT side, and I think that, again, we're seeing some of the individuals on this team really like pop off where needed. Like Fleeve with his outside aggression. I think Coolio's done well on ramp with the AUG. And although maybe we haven't seen the very best for some of their players today, they're looking good. And as said, if they get through the decider match, manage to go through the group, I think they're going to be very happy with that. Because as said, I looked at this group as like almost a group of death. Like, sure, it's a new forZe. Sure, Illuminar up and down, but with Endpoint currently as one of the consistent teams fighting their way towards that sort of almost tier 1. Like, sure, they've got a long way to go, but they're definitely making marks, like starting to qualify for decent tournaments. They're a team I'm excited by. So the fact that Budapest 5 are looking to put themselves through alongside that and potentially eliminate the likes of forZe and Illuminar in one day, I'm sure they'd be quite happy. However, they are not past the mark just yet, and a strong start for Exy Power, going in as almost a raw entry AWPer. Coolio's already made a reposition. Interesting that his teammate was almost holding back while he'd rotated. Flit not checking the angle. That's a big mistake, and Coolio will punish because of it, turning things into a 3v3 situation and allowing for an afterplant.
Yeah, at the very least, giving them a semblance of a chance. Oh, Waro, that timing is so unlucky. He even looks back, but his crosshair just not in the right place. It was, so he will be absolutely kicking himself. Fleeve chiming in with one. It's all onto Exit Power to find all three. One of these moments, perhaps he misses the third shot, but is given another chance at it. Still alive, just about. 14 HP to work with. Fleeve Looking to try and wrap around. Missed shots all over the shop. The desperate molly onto the bomb. Is it enough? Will it make the difference? It will. He has to dive in to go for the defuse. There was no time to do anything else, and he goes down to the molly in the end. Exit power, it's certainly not as clean as some of his clutches can be, but he does it nonetheless.
Oh, that was his round. He was a master in that situation. Not only does he manage to get the opening pick for them while running down the ramp, but he also almost like utterly dominated the remainder of the round. A perfect clutch situation. Yeah, sure, he doesn't hit the final shot. And I was almost sat there going like, well, you could have just waited and played the bomb, but he reads his opponent almost perfectly, the push through the door, as he manages to retreat back, wastes a load of time, and then even has a molly for the final position. So yeah, masterfully played, and just look at the damage it's done. They're going to take a pause themselves, but the fact is, I imagine Budapest 5 might have wanted one of their own.
All right. Let's see what the CTs have got in store. The Deagles come out late into the buy period, so maybe not wanting to go for it initially. We almost see a frag outside, but not quite. I think forZe are playing it very well, knowing at very best it's a weak buy here from the CT side, so they opt to go for a heavy utility play. Often difficult for the counter util to come in, but they're very, very ready for this hit. Fleeve able to find one, a second as well coming in from him, I believe it is indeed, and he's actually going to get a third on that Deagle. Wowie. This is definitely not what I expected this round to be, and now left in a 1-on-4 for Jerry to clutch up. Gets a couple. Takes a pretty big chunk of damage, though. Can he find the next two?
Oh, that's so smart, but he doesn't quite manage to hit the shots. I like that. Goes to fake out the door to try and get someone to move down the vent. He's hurt both players. Actually, one of them incredibly low. That's a third kill for Jerry. A 1v1 situation, but he can't quite do it. Kolor is there. A 15th kill for him, and oh, they have just scraped through that one. More importantly, though, they have destroyed forZe's economy. This is going to be the bomb plant giving them an extra 800 plus a little bit of money that was thrown in from just loss bonus, 1400 for the single lost round. I'm interested to see what they do here, because 1900 is not going to make things amazing, but they have enough that they could invest a bit. It seems like they're going to go all in. I'm not sure I'm a fan of this. I think getting what would have been a few rifles in the next round is probably a better idea than what we currently have here. There's been a few pistols juggled around, but clearly they feel like they need to fight this one.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of baffles me a little bit as well. But we'll see. We'll see. Either we'll be laughing or they'll be laughing. That's kind of how it goes. Budapest 5. Hopefully, for their sake, can keep a cool head in this situation. Do I spy a sneaky jump up towards heaven? I think so. A nice little 1-for-1 trade coming in. Oh, so close for Jerry. Fleeve is savvy to the fact, does drop him. So, man advantage for the CT side. Big chunk of damage onto Waro. Flit. Meanwhile, keeping things interesting, right? The headshot's still landing. The chance still being given across. There goes Fleeve. And now forZe have a man advantage with 45 seconds left.
At the time ticking down. I think Flit should be dead here if he even tries to make a move in, but he almost has to. I think he needs to be the one being sold down the river trying to set up forZe. Or even just act as a distraction. Because at the moment, they're just going to be looking towards Cat, also known as Waro. And unfortunately, well, there seemed like he was no bark. Of all bark and no bite. I've managed to get the saying wrong. Nonetheless, a 1v2 situation. They managed to find the kill. Bomb will be planted, and Kolor, he reads the rotation back towards the B site. It gives them a chance to reposition, though. And Flit, he spots his opponent. Even on low HP, he'll land his shots. This man has been phenomenal. And that's the thing. Like, in terms of his star power, it's been there for a while, but I feel like we just haven't seen it. And the fact that he's got 26 kills in this match makes me excited. Yes, it's against an opponent that they should be beating easily. Like, I don't want to be rude to Hungarian fans. Budapest Five should not be touching the amount of money that is currently being invested into these players. They have multiple coaches, lots of background staff, players even being hired to bring through the youth. Although I feel like their choice was a bit of a rough one. For anybody who doesn't know, hired Cypher to look after their youth talent. This round, though, unfortunately, it's not looking great.
Yeah. The players are sound. The players are sound. 14 rounds picked up, as to be expected with that one. Timeout coming in here towards the tail end. Budapest Five are desperately looking for some kind of an answer, and quick. A medic of some kind, a miracle of some kind, perhaps, as it's really not looking good. The buy into this round as well. Certainly rough around the edges. Should be workable, right? The buy's not the excuse. Would love to see a kit out here from Coolio. He's got $800 left. Yeah, there you go. Lovely stuff. Either way, fights need to be successful. Setup needs to be sound. And something has to go their way, whether it's an individual or indeed a solid crossfire or a great read. Something has to go their way. forZe, meanwhile, are in prime position, I think, to clean this one up, particularly if they win this round. So, an awful lot of weight, as you would expect on this one, and on these early, seemingly outside battles. We might see some action here. We do indeed. forZe with a quick one onto Flit. Nice shot from him. Immediately drops back, not taking no chances, not doing that usual getting too greedy and dropping the advantage.
Yeah, they needed to do something in this round because their utility is so poor that they needed someone to get them an opener. Waro, though, has taken an awful lot of map control, but he actually gets spotted out. A good information peak, not overly extending either. No risk really taken from the CT side. I'm sure they would have liked a kill. Smoke goes down, but Jerry's going to use it to his advantage. This gives an awful lot of space, and considering they've already taken outside, they could easily set themselves up here. Waro, he's waiting patiently, and a quick kill onto Fleeve. And as said, they're not going to know anything about Jerry. Waro, even on low HP, manages to get 2 picks. This is starting to fall apart. And as mentioned previously, this is the man you have to watch out for. I think they're going to try and maybe fake the sound a little bit here. But forZe has definitely heard that glass being broken. And the bomb being outside actually makes me a bit worried. Because that player still has to cross. There's no way that forZe's going to expect Jerry to be this far down. Even with the glass being broken, I don't think he's going to check this. So he can just hide in the angle. You can see the cross being held, smoke thrown down. And this will allow them to get into that lower bomb site. And the fact is, sure, the time might be ticking. But all they have to do is kill off Kolor. And this round is theirs.
Oh, not really checking the angle cleanly, to be honest. The trade doesn't even come in. It's all left onto Jerry. There's 5 seconds, which means there's no time. And he will have to just hold on to the AK. The round goes the way of Budapest 5. His next challenge is to survive, and I think he's all good. They don't really want to take any chances with losing more weapons. So, up to 14. It's a messy approach, to say the least, there. Towards the Whitehalls. But all the same, you just got to move on from it, really, and now get your head into the next round, which is exactly what they're looking to do with the timeout. Oh, and the money for certain members is not great at all. I think they just have to go for this and hope they can string something together. I think, you know, drops can happen and whatnot, but still, this is a tough couple of rounds. Are they buying, or...?
I don't know.
Wow.
I guess they will.
Okay, I was going to say.
I think it was just they were using all of their freeze time to work out how they're going to juggle around the different weapons. So
yeah, to try and get the all-power, especially.
Still didn't work it out completely. And in fact, it means that Forrester... I was about to say he didn't have any armor, but he's finally bought up. They probably could have just used a pause here, if anything. I assume they still had another left. forZe, though, once again, he's going to win the battle versus Exipower. That's a couple of rounds now where he's taken out either the AWPer or Flit, and this time he converts as well onto Waro, who was the danger man in the last round. It's looking like this is slipping through the fingers of forZe, and sure, this might not be their map choice, but they have been in a commanding position in multiple rounds. They're letting pistol rounds slip away. Bear in mind, there was Jerry's 1v4 attempt that came down because they lost the other 4 players to pistols. Now, they need to try and fight back. Again, it is forZe on that AWP. Mentioned him being one of the danger men before this match even began. The other seems to be Fleeve, as they clean things up all too easily. Not a player lost and weaponry retrieved. And unfortunately for the T side, they took that time. They almost took too long, I guess you could say, to get their buy on the board. And now they're stuck with pistols once again.
Yeah, really not easy here, and I mean, they're stuck with pistols to get to overtime, so a lot of work for forZe to take the victory. Honestly, as you said a few rounds ago as well, really, really surprising that it comes even this close. Yes, you have your newer members, but I just feel the core, you know, and just slot them into... Yes, some uncomfortable positions maybe, but like, on a map that you're comfortable on for the most part. With Flit playing so well, it's wild. It's absolutely wild that we've ended up here and could actually see Budapest 5 edging this one out. I suppose if they're to win it, this surprises me less than a super dominant victory, of course, but still, I think there have been moments, particularly, I think it was like 12-10, right? Something along those lines where forZe looked like they were in control and they've let that slip away a couple times throughout this game. Well-timed Molotov from Fleeve. Really going to delay the push and gives him options. He decides to drop back instead of getting aggressive. Again, not wanting to take any chances. Not tempting fate, as they so often do on that Budapest 5 side. He is kind of caught in the open, though, and in between a rock and a hard place if they play their cards right. Maybe too early of an open of decon, to be honest. Gives him time to reposition, and he holds the mouse one for 2 successful frags. That's all they needed. Coolio comes in to clean up house, and the 16-14 finish in favor of Budapest 5.
Yeah, a quite surprising victory. Like, even though we sort of watched and witnessed most of that game, it felt like a back and forth all the way through. Both teams being able to win a fair few pistol rounds here and there as well, which I expected from the side of forZe, but not necessarily from the Budapest Five. So they've impressed me, of course. They did so badly on Nuke last time, I sort of counted them out of it, but now we have to move on. We will be getting into our second map relatively soon. So make sure you join us after the break, as we will have the second.
Headshot, nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear your go, go, go. I wanna see you rolling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Very much. They play, you win.
and welcome to the European Development League. We are going to be talking about the matches coming up, of course, not forgetting that this is brought to you by Gaming Malta, a home of gaming excellence. But we are going to be going into our second match relatively shortly. forZe falling a little bit short there, was them facing off against the Budapest Five. And yeah, I guess forZe a little bit disappointed probably with that loss, losing a few pistol rounds and making a few silly mistakes.
Yeah, safe to say. They'll be kind of kicking themselves a little bit. They had, towards the end, a position, I think, where we win this round and the game is ours, and then of course they lose it and it sort of spirals out of control. Yeah. They can't get it done. So it's a shame. It wasn't their map pick, I suppose, but for the original 5 and everything, super comfortable. For the core 3 that are still here, you would feel that should be the case. But yeah, silly mistakes definitely, and bits of communication in places. Obviously, there's no like language barrier or anything like that, but just being comfortable in the same way with these newer members is obviously not quite going to happen just yet. Moving into Inferno, though, I mean, it's still a comfortable map for Budapest 5. They don't play it as much, in all fairness, but if anything, the last map has kind of shown us what they're capable of when they really do play regimented. I don't know what the deal was against the Luminar earlier. Bit too loose, bit too rigid, I suppose. But once they started to employ a little bit more thought to their game plan, they did actually look quite good.
Yeah, I would agree. I think both teams, though, are sort of left in a position where they're fairly reliant on their individual players. Like, I think Fleeve had a fairly few aggressive rounds that were successful, that managed to make things work. As you can see, the power match odds on your screen at the moment are going to be in favor of forZe still. That is the map winner, of course, for the match. It might be slightly different. Of course, you can click on the banner down below the Twitch channel, which will take you in. And, well, if you want, you can bet. And I believe that there is opportunities, of course, to gain a little bit extra to going through there. But now I'm still going to hold my breath when it comes to this forZe roster. I don't want to sit here and basically say, like, it's going to be all over if they don't manage to win this one. That's not the case. It's not even close to the case. Like, this is a brand new team. This is literally one of the first tournaments we've seen any of their players play in, or at least the new ones. forester, I think, is someone that they'll have to implement over time, and I think can definitely sort of have those moments which are going to be exciting, which are going to be enjoyable to see for this side. And I think it's going to take Jerry a bit of time to fix everything, because, as said, he's someone who seems to be fairly regimented in his team, who has a lot of set pieces, a lot of structured takes that he likes to do. I think there's going to be a lot for players to learn, especially, like, I'll use forester as an example. Hard Legion, well, they were a very loose team. They were also running with a coach who was giving them mind-reading plays. So if he's able to do that, then chances are you're going to have to gain a little bit more now working with a team that are not doing that. So I think that realistically, he's still going to have a lot to learn, but he's a young player, and I'm sure he's eager to try and achieve something within the Counter-Strike realms. Nonetheless, we are going into our pistol round. Waro is going to invest into a CZ and Kevlar. In fact, he's been dropped that as a hero player. Now, I sort of mentioned that I felt like he might be coming in as more of a supportive element. Doesn't seem to be the case, and his CZ achieved absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's painful to watch unfold, for sure. They will eliminate that player in Banana, but it's an A-hit coming in from behind. forester, however, finds the head of Coolio. Man advantage now for forZe to work with. The bomb will go down in just a second here, I believe. It does indeed. They've got pit control and sight control. Really need that to work for them. Nice frag coming in. Jerry with the retrieved CZ. It was all a ploy, you see. Jerry wanted the CZ. Nonetheless, looking good. All onto forZe. Finds a quick one onto Exit Power. Does get another. Suddenly looks a little more doable. Has to get the reload off. Comes so close to taking down Jerry, but can't get it done in the end. forZe will break the curse, the good luck of Budapest 5 in those pistols and take it themselves.
Yeah, it was definitely getting a little bit close for comfort towards the end, but Jerry gets things done. Something I'm interested in, actually, is I believe a lot of teams have an almost like a pact not to use any of the other skins. Now, the one thing I will mention is that in a lot of cases, this actually acts as a weakness for the team that have the skin. And I'll explain why. Some of you might be thinking, oh, well, maybe it gives them slight cover in certain situations. I feel like Valve have ended up doing quite a good job of actually adapting things so that that's not really the case anymore. And more importantly, say you know, well, let's just use Corey as an example because I think he's the one with the skin. It gives information over to the team if he's somewhere he's not meant to be. Now, they've gone for a faster B play. Jerry's been traded out after the initial aggression, and the CT side looking like they might have won the pistol, but they're about to lose the force.
Problematic. Very problematic indeed. Bomb's gone down. Is there... No, there is not. There is no kit available, so time really working against them here. On the CT end, they need to move quickly. forZe's got a funky trick up his sleeve with this Molotov, just waiting to be given the get-go. And, well, unfortunately not finding an awful... Well, the Molotov does, but the frag's not really coming in with the rifles themselves, he says. Now the MP9's moving forward. It's all into a one-on-one. forZe can't get it done, though. And sure, only one player survives, but Budapest Five, they're so happy to get the return round as soon as, damn it. Really well done from them, catching forZe completely off guard with the force.
Well, as you can see, the parry match map winner at the moment is actually in favor of Budapest 5. So after what was a strong performance on the first map and a force by victory, again, click the banner below, take you there. We can see XE Power, very aggressive down mid. Hasn't really pulled off much magic when it comes to the scout. I somewhat expect a little bit more from him, but thus far, not really been the case. I'm interested with forZe's Inferno in particularly because when we saw Namiga, they play in a style of basically 4 players challenging Banana and Lollipop left lurking. Now, when forZe played, that was the role he played. He was the player left lurking. So I want to know if he's going to be more implemented into the strategy at forZe or if he's going to be left as a lone soldier.
Flip finds one on the A-bomb site. Any more for any more here on the retake. Jerry trying to peek around, gets help from XE Power, and now it becomes kind of doable. Again, time working against them in this retake with no kit available. And you still kind of hand it to the stronger weapons. Really like the proactivity of them as well. Don't quite find the frag, but the damage has definitely been done. AK looking to just clean up house. And I think that may just be the case. Yeah, leading the charge, looking good. XE Power way too far away from the action. I mean, it's good damage. Keeping the economy modest. There's maybe a chance for him to find one more. Unfortunately, repeat doesn't come in, so nothing else for forZe. Second round for Budapest 5. Definitely having to work for it. Keeps things interesting and close and whatnot, as we've seen across the course of the day, thanks to Budapest 5. Always delivering in that sense. But into this one, you would expect a pretty heavy eco from the CTs.
Yeah, unfortunately, even going into the next round, financially, it's not going to be amazing. You want to see the incendiaries, HEs even playing a big part when it comes to this map. Mostly on the CT side, but the Ts will strut their stuff sometimes. Boost in play. And while the boostee has gone down, Corey taking a lot of damage, but dealing far more. And with Colo to support him, they're doing a great job of keeping this nice and clean. Now, what I would like to see from them here is if Corey gives that Mac 10 over to someone else and gives them a chance to make some cash. Because chances are, there's nothing now for this CT side. But if you give an extra kill or two over, that could be enough to give them an extra grenade. Like I said, $300 a kill, you get 2 kills. That's an incendiary that you might not have had. Now, they're still going to be hunting them down. Thankfully, it is with one of the healthier of the SMGs. And forZe, well, he makes an extra $1,200. So, great work from him. The other side of things now, the CT side are going to be investing. It's a AWP for XE Power, having enough cash saved up that he will be able to buy it with armor, although no grenades backing it up. And in terms of utility in general, I sort of mentioned it just moments ago. They have no incendiaries to try and deny it the banana push.
Ooh, XE Power, love it. Playing confidently in the fire, actually finds a frag. I think a HE came over the top, but he was not thwarted at all, to be honest. He found the kill and he sticks around for a while. So there you are. 5-on-4. Looking to reposition. Absolutely love this. I mean, they do need help on the A-bomb site, but all the same, keeping the AWP in many different places at once. Really, really solid stuff. forZe finding one, sets up another. Wow! And all those frags come in at once, the round over, before it's really even begun. That is how you send a message.
Well, yeah, that's almost the impressive thing. When we talk about this forZe roster, the main players we are going to be highlighting are Flit, forZe, and Power, and it seems like in their current setup, all three of them actually play A. So I would, if I'm on the other side of things, if I'm Budapest 5, I'm going B every round. I'm not touching that side, because there's so much firepower for them here. Now, obviously, it's not necessarily consistent, but the multi-frag potential of this team is terrifying, and putting them all on the same site, I'm almost say as an oversight. Now, obviously, you can expect that Power is going to play more of a rotational role. He'll be switching it up quite regularly. This time, though, they go for aggressive apartments take. Now, it starts off with a pretty unfortunate loss. Power, oh, he's got a bit caught in his position, misses a shot as well. Now being pressured and doesn't get anything done. Maybe the A site is actually going to be a safe haven, because if everybody's trying to take these fights and nobody's winning them, well, it'll be all too easy for the Budapest 5.
Certainly looks that way. Nice Molotov from Jerry. There's not really anyone to act upon it. They're trying to take down the AWPer, but forZe escapes for now. 2 quick kills coming at the same time. It's all onto Kolor. Nice early frag from him, but Jerry appears to have got the drop on him. Not quite. Buying time, Jerry trying to find an angle. The quick headshot round the corner is enough, though. Defuse will come in. He's got a kit. Easy peasy. That one a hell of a lot harder for forZe to get on the board, but they get it nonetheless, evening things up pretty quickly. And once the rifles have come into play, they look formidable. They look fearsome. A very, very strong showing from them so far in retakes and in initial rounds. Of course, the parry match odds changing up even more so there towards the end as they updated after that round. Of course, banner down below to get on to some bonus cash and whatnot with parry match. Thanks again for their support. But either way, moving into the next round, they're opting to buy here on the Budapest 5 side of things, and no signs of slowing down at all. Okay, I thought they were both Kolor. Still, pretty nice stuff. Maybe a bit too fast, however. Flit comes in with a double of his own. It's been kills on the other side of the map as well. Flit just pushing forward, swaps across to the AK. So smooth on that transition. Unfortunately, not able to find the frag, but yeah, they're just all over the place right now. A mental round from Budapest 5. forZe were able to take it.
Yeah, it looked like it started so strong that it should almost swing into their favor, but battles on the other side of the map, and also a solid hold from Flit as well, giving them a fairly big advantage here. So 4-3. Still, no real stabilization, and of course, on the other side of things, unfortunately, Budapest 5 have now run out of cash. This round, more about cost than anything else, and an interesting one for Power to decide to go aggressive. I was about to say, like, this is the last time you want to be going for a push like that, when you don't really have much in play. For the SMGs of Jerry and Waro, it's a different story. They're going to be looking to try and make as much cash as possible. forZe has to be careful not to get caught, but it seems like everything's going their way. And although, okay, Fleeve does manage to take down a multitude of players, I was going to say it looked like it would be a relatively clean round, but the fact is it wasn't even close to one.
Well, a brick wall being hit here by Budapest 5. They seem to like bashing their heads against it from time to time. Looks like we might be back to that from them, so a change has got to come, and quickly here before it gets to a point of no return almost. Aggression down middle from forZe coming in. Kolor, though, finding Jerry. The AWP of Power, successful, of course. Absolutely loving Banana. Can he get more? He can indeed. And that should be the difference maker of the round. Yes, they lose the battle at middle, but it creates room for Power, I suppose. Creates a distraction for him to work with. Finds himself another, while blind, and another. Just not missing. I mean, there's nothing fancy about it. He's just setting himself up nicely. left clicking when his crosshair is over an opponent, very clean, and just super, super strong stuff, honestly. Like, it's so, so good from him, and a worrying sign for Budapest 5.
Yeah, of course. Again, you can check out the Hell Case in the description below for a chance to get yourself a 15% refill. Now, XC Power, he's just getting a streak of kills. Like, they keep facing this man with an AWP in hand, no smokes, no flashes, no nothing to try and negate that AWP, and it's all too easy. Like, that's an AWPer's dream right there. If you took flashbangs out of Counter-Strike, like, this game would be absolutely terrifying. And that's what the Budapest Five have done over the last couple of rounds. They haven't utilized them properly. It's made it very, very easy for him to get kills. Money now is starting to boom with XC Power on over $10,000 and the rest of the squad, excluding Jerry, over 7,000. Like, this is not a situation you want to be in if you're the Budapest Five. You're just allowing them to run riot. Well, 7-3. Now we're going to see a counter-AWP purchased. The problem is for forZe, he needs to be set up well. There needs to be utility put in place to force his opponent off these angles. Unless he's going to go for a mid-battle instead, which, I'll be honest, has been one that they've mainly won. In fact, their A-site plays in general have been mainly the successful ones, surprisingly. As said, I expect the potentially the weaker players that they've currently got on this forZe lineup to be playing B, but I guess it's the ones that are more likely to be using those supportive grenades, and they're just relying on the individual firepower of the A site to be enough to hold on.
Aggression once again coming in down Banana. Instead of watching, they're forcing their way in. Great little Molotov. Oh, and Jerry with the smoke out gets caught. Corey with 2 quick headshots to open the B-bomb site briefly. Of course, the rotations are very, very fast here from the CT side. Exit Power and Flip ready and waiting. Great little flash. Doesn't blind up enough members, though. Gets traded immediately. The Molotov is effective, apparently. That's a mistake for sure. They still have the man advantage, but just barely clinging onto it. Thankfully, Fleeve has gained map control over at A, exploiting those quick rotations that were required by forZe. You know, they unfortunately are just in a dire spot here, and also a spot that they don't realize they're in as the frag comes through onto forZe. So 1v3. Yes, he's got cash money, but I feel it's probably just wiser to save this AWP into the next.
Yeah, not really a repurchase that they want to make, and also make sure that the money is going to be set for the next few rounds. If he can get an exit kill, that would be fantastic, but chances are you're just going to see the remaining players save towards the back of the pit. They don't really have any risk of doing that with everybody so healthy. But good mid-round call from Budapest 5. Like, sure, they get the initial entries. Great job from Corey, but to make that call when you've already done so much damage on that side of the map, it's just like, okay, we're just going to play this safe. They have Fleeve on that lurk on the other side. And it makes things all too easy and gets them some extra money. So 7-4. CT side, I almost feel like they should just leave XC Power as that solo B-site player. Like, get him set up in the early stages of the round, leave him to defend it, and then Budapest 5 thus far have done absolutely nothing to stop him. Whereas when they go for these rotations relying on the other two players, like, you're trying to be aggressive, I understand that, but it just hasn't really worked so far.
Oh, okay. I mean, he's looking so strong right now. Is that another? It comes close. And then that. Just stick to the AWP, I guess. Stick to the AWP. No, I think there was maybe a little bit of panic from him, thinking he was getting pushed in from second mid.
forZe in the boost position. One that normally relatively difficult to clear off a pre-fire shot. They get the timing right. It should be fine. Now, Kolor has retrieved the AWP. As said, he was a primary in a previous couple of teams. However, it doesn't seem to matter. They're being torn apart by forZe. XE even chimes in with a couple of his own, and they make this round look very, very easy. As said, like they're the players that I'm sort of looking at in this roster to just have standout performances. I still think putting pressure on the B side just seems like the better thing to do. Like, sure, you've been sort of caught out a couple of times by XE being there in the early stages of the round, but I feel like that's almost purely based on spawn. Like, if he has a good spawn, they go for it. If he doesn't, they don't. This time, actually, forZe, though, are going to aggressively stack it. They're going to set 3 players up, a little bit of utility. Woro, again, is caught. It's the same Molotov. There is a set smoke that pretty much every single competitive team throws that denies that Molotov from doing anything, and you can still peek behind it. And he's taken now, what, 150, 160 damage from that in 2 rounds?
That's an issue, isn't it? Maybe one of the players that threw that previously, I know Almeza was a pretty hefty Bianca, right? Maybe that's the smoke that he would go for. And they've not quite figured out a replacement method just yet. Long also left very, very vulnerable here. Exapower in the apartments. I think he's aware of the fact that there's one down the hall, but unfortunately not able to find him. In fact, it's the other way around. Fleeve takes him down. And with that, the round will go the way of Budapest 5. So finally able to put a stop to forZe. Some mistakes initially, right, from Woro, and then rotational mistakes as well. They move a lot of players across to B, not only at the start of the round, but also after one dies. They figured that a rush was on its way, but not the case. Budapest 5 playing things a bit slower than usual, a bit slower than they usually do, and it works out. So they get themselves the 5th, and I think 5, decent. I mean, it really depends on where you look with this map at the moment, but I think certainly arguments that it's edging more towards the T side these days in places, so really does depend with these 2 squads, but all the same, I think more than 5 definitely required. Keeping it even, definitely, just apart from like train most maps these days, you need just as many rounds on either side as possible. You can't really guarantee that the other side will be weighted enough for you to work with.
Well, 5 rounds already for Budapest. They do manage a couple more. We could consider this a fairly decent half. And after the last round, they managed to thread the needle through into the A site. Not really sure how they managed to get that much control without anybody seemingly noticing. XE re-aggression, though, is going to catch forZe with a nade in hand. And forZe, decent position, but unfortunately the timing just leaves him out to dry. Again, 1 kill is all it takes, and they've managed to get complete control of this A site. Molotov will be used to deny any further aggression in, meaning Kolor can get the bomb down. forZe to be lost once again, however. Julio still holding on to the apartments. There's not really a hell of a lot of map control. Short has been garnered, but as said, with the apartments under control of their opposition, it's going to be fairly hard, and the Molotov will deny them for a moment, but the push comes back into the site. Flit on the edge of the smoke gets an instant impact kill, but it's trades back and forth. The AWPs of the CT side having to do the work in the rotation. I think they're just going to try and stick this. Hold on to the bomb. The defusal, I don't think it can be stopped. Julio trying to spam through, but they're not going to mind. It's the 9th round, an AWP saved, and he just tries to get out of there. A 9th for forZe in a great position now. And the T's, they're going to be gutted with that one.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity for them to really start solidifying themselves in this T half. Of course, the parry match odds not moving all that much, so certainly looking good. Of course, the banner down below takes you to their site. You get a few sign-up bonuses and whatnot going there, so do be sure if you're into betting on Counter-Strike to give them a little look-see. First frag coming through for forZe into this round. They're trying their best to answer back with speed, I suppose. So much nade damage being taken. forZe does go down. Flit still standing strong. Has yet to be traded. There you go. Trade eventually comes in. XE as well overwhelmed. So a 3-on-2. Definitely not out of the question for Woro and Jerry to clutch this one up.
They managed it in the last round, but again, it seems like so many players are being caught with grenades, and it will end as a 9-6. Not a bad half for either side. I don't think they're going to be overly disappointed with things here, but at the same time, I feel like there were a lot of opportunities for Budapest Five to get into a slightly better position. Struggling to deal with the AWP of Exipower, who ends 20-7. Good to see him performing at such a high standard again. The thing is, once more, we're sort of talking about this as a match where he should dominate. And the fact is, forZe definitely haven't been dominant overall. So clearly a few of the maybe newer players still trying to find a way to get into the roles a little bit. And I do wonder if potentially switching up their B site hold could have garnered them even more rounds. However, it's going to be a shooting gallery. forZe already managing to get 2 with the help of his friend on the other side. And Coolio, well, I'm sure he's not going to be too happy with this. Guys, you all peeked mid, I held B, and somehow now I'm alone.
Maybe that's the curse as well, you know? If they don't win their pistols, they don't win their map. Or win the map, I should say. They've lost both pistols now, which definitely is going to have an effect. So forZe looking really, really good here. I think if they can clean up against the force buy, win the subsequent, which, you know, in theory, they'll have nothing on that Budapest 5 side. They're in a perfect position. Just 1 or 2 rifle rounds required, so less work than it looks at this point. Really starting to hammer home that third map will be required, starting to hammer home that this team can be comfortable. I think Nuke is certainly a difficult one to play when you've got a newer roster, I suppose, is what we can put it down to. And of course, it is the pick of Budapest 5. They showed us on the previous that they did have an idea of what to do on the map. Again, really don't know what the deal was against Illuminar. So now this is making a bit more sense. You know, it's a competition. It's certainly not easy, but forZe are the team that are 1 or 2 steps ahead of their opponents. May well be the case moving into Mirage, if it is required. I mean, quite a big jump start required from Budapest 5, I think, to pull things back in their favor.
Yeah, I think as well, if you lose both pistols in a map, even if you do manage to win the force buy, the chances are we're sat there looking at forZe at this point and saying, you have to win this map. If you don't manage to win it, it's going to be fairly atrocious. And a lot of the rounds that they have managed to win, they've done it in a dominant fashion. Like, that force buy did next to no damage whatsoever. They managed to keep all the players alive, all the rifles in their favor as well, and have built up some extra cash, which if you invest into rifles, that's what you have to do. You need to be winning those rounds cleanly. Otherwise, you end up losing quite a significant amount of money. It also means, in terms of a bonus round, going into the next, chances are they're going to have 4 rifles again. So it really does leave things a little bit more awkward for Budapest 5, who are not going to have that sort of early opportunity to maybe break back and pick up some weaponry. Now this round they've got the stack spot on, so maybe there's a chance they could drop a player or 2. That's the first one going their way, but then it's an absolute wipe down. 3 players back in response. Fleeve managing to get into the corner, but they know exactly where he is. He's going to try and use the smoke, and actually does take down a third. After what was such a clean round in the last, they could actually end up losing this one. forZe now very low on HP, but the boost up is a smart one. Only 2 players surviving for forZe. Definitely not what they were hoping for, but as mentioned, they had plenty of cash to buy into this.
Certainly need to nip that in the bud quickly, though, before it possibly does cost them. I think just being overwhelmed, caught off guard, all those buzzwords. This is really the round that matters, of course. AWPs on either side. Certainly interesting this early that they pull the AWP out for the T side. You don't see it very often. Wow, okay. Comes close, the battle through the smoke. Goes the way of Kolor, though. Goes the way of Corey, sorry. It's Kolor who's left low. Is what I was getting at. Flip, meanwhile, just walking through their own smoke on the forZe side of things. Manages to find one. And it's actually a very good response here. It's a shame. Oh, he doesn't have the help. Just escapes. The clutches, finds the frag onto the low Corey. Does get traded out by Fleeve. But at the very least, forZe have given themselves a shoe-in at this round, where in the beginning, it really did not look good.
Fleave's re-aggression, though. It's been his sort of first quiet map so far, but has a chance to come back. Boro is already going to find another one, and it is left to Coolio, who manages to turn the tide in their favor. So forZe will lose, and because of the damage done in the last round, their buy here isn't actually set in stone. There's going to be some weaponry juggled around to make sure they can at least get the AKs in, but if you look at the likes of Flit, things are a little bit more questionable. There might be a gun on the floor for him, or at least you'd hope there will be. It'll be a Galil, and Jerry is going to be forced down to a Tech 9. So, although this map was looking done, Budapest 5 have a real chance here, with the difference being down to just 5.
Nice little bird's eye view. You can say Fleave getting aggressive down banana. That's the B-bomb site. Either way, over towards middle here is where most of the action seemingly is going to go down. Or maybe towards B. Jerry with the flick so fast we didn't even get time to register it, really. And that will cause the charge forwards, of course. Kolor got to stand strong, good for one, but blinded up. Can't find any more. Now a 4-on-2 that, yeah, the A players want nothing to do with. They do not have cash built up at all. And the dream that you were talking about might just have fallen by the wayside with that.
Yeah, money-wise, I honestly think this is done now. Like, forZe have convinced me enough in this map, at least. They're looking pretty good in this one. And with the amount of openers they're getting, with their star players, again, performing to a decent standard. I sort of mentioned it a bit in the last map, that I don't think we'd seen even close to the best in Flit over the last few months. I think he's been decent, but not at the star potential we know he can be at. And then that's the thing that makes this team truly terrifying. I think if you, in some world, get Xe Power, forZe, and Flip firing, I think they can challenge Tier 1 teams. I think those 3 players are enough of a core striking force that they could win some matches. The problem's always been instead that it's like, okay, if Flit and Xe Power hard carry, then you win a map, because chances of like FaceCrack or Almeza being in those sort of high fragging possibilities seem slim. So I think they've got a definite upgrade there. I think the jury's still out on Waro and how he's going to slot into this roster, but the thing is that they've now got those players that are just going to be hungry. Like, they want the victories. Like, it's not going to be about complacency anymore and, okay, we got to a point and we've fallen off. It's like, no, I'm brand new in this team and I'm ready. I'm raring to play. So I look forward to seeing what they can do in the future. This is a match, though, they're going to need to win. Smoke thrown down, but relatively early into the round, and forZe's already going to get the pick. I mentioned it in the sort of pre-game, if he's going to be playing that lurk role again, and he is. And I think this one that he's actually very comfortable in. So I like the fact that they're giving him the same sort of opportunities that teams like Namiga did as well when he was standing in, and they're cleaning this round up like it's absolutely nothing.
I think they've found their groove on this one, right? The previous map, like I say, it's kind of difficult to incorporate newer players, I suppose, is what we could put it down to. But this one, yes, Budapest 5 certainly not as strong, but forZe are also looking really, really good. Of course, that Paramatch banner down below, the odds may be not worth showing, you know. Might be a little rough to see if you're a Budapest 5 fan that's feeling good after that previous series earlier on. Ooh, early shot does ring out. Kolor not quite landing anything, unfortunately. But the buy here, pretty decent. It's a double up setup as well. Maybe this saves them some time, at the very least. Build some confidence going into Mirage. That's kind of what we're looking at the moment. The game itself definitely feels like it's forZe's. And the opening pick going their way continues to sell that story.
There is still a response from forZe. He's been quiet in this map, but he's one that could definitely dominate now that he's got his AWP. They have gone for a double up here. It was interesting. We didn't really see it on Mirage where I expected it, but clearly feeling that a change is needed. A B-site take about to ensue. Kolor's second AWP left completely blind as they push into the back of the site, and he gets absolutely nothing done. Leaving just one defender and a flank coming in as the only real task, and I'll make it just the flank. They've completely taken control of everything here, and Waro is there. It looks like they're on the hunt as well. Like, look at where these remaining players are currently holding from. It is a bold prediction from those players that there's going to be nobody around in CT. But I guess it works for them. 15-7, utterly dominant from forZe. Clearly a map that they are feeling comfortable on with this core. And well, we'll have to wait and see whether or not the Budapest Five can bounce back on the next map, because this is looking done.
Three FAMASs, four FAMASs, Maths is hard, and an MP9. That's all they've got to hold off with, and well, the B-Rush has begun terribly. Trade from Waro, trying to go for the double, not quite going to happen. What a crazy round so far. Coolio just misses his chance to find the trade onto forZe twice, actually. That's really unlucky. Could have made the difference. Now he has to take a slightly fairer fight for forZe, and he loses it. 16-7. That will be all she wrote for Inferno. A pretty quick turnaround, particularly on that T side. forZe looking much more like what we expected, even with the two newer players. See whether they can pick that up going into Mirage, I suppose, Tom.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed with what we're seeing from them. I think that it's still very early days, but the fact that they're already starting to put forZe into positions I know that he enjoys. Like, he always played a lurk when it came to Hard Legion, be it on Inferno or Overpass. So I like that they're not just going, you play this role. Like, that's what Almeza did. You do it now. Like, I don't like that. Whenever a team does that, I'm like, okay, you're not taking this seriously. So I think it's going to be some time before we see the best from this roster, for sure. But the fact that certain maps look pretty good, like, that was dominant from them. Now we head into Mirage, another map that in the past they've been consistent on. I think, again, it's one where the focal point will be lit. And more importantly, we've got to see whether or not there's going to be a return from the Budapest Five. One of these teams is being eliminated in our decider match, so make sure you join us after a short break, where we'll be finding out the result.
Headshot, nice. Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna hear your go, go, go. I wanna see you rolling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Pretty much. They play, you win.
Hello and welcome back to the European Development Championship, which is brought to you by Gaming Malta, a home of gaming excellence. We're going to be getting into our final map of today. Now, for one of our teams, the Budapest Five, this has been the 6th map in a row that they will have had to play. They've already eliminated Illuminar. Now they look to try and get through forZe. It's definitely been a longer road than they probably would have liked, but if the Hungarians can get through here, make it through to the latter stages of the tournament, I'm sure they're going to be fairly happy, Scriv.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a really good point that you raise in terms of fatigue and everything, I suppose, right? Maybe warmer than their opponents on the first map, which is why we end up here on the third. But an extremely close finish on Nuke, and then kind of getting walked all over on the previous map, to be honest with you. That second half especially was no contest for forZe in a lot of the rounds. So it's starting to look like reality is setting in a little bit. They were definitely the large underdogs coming into this matchup. I suppose the slight underdogs of the previous matchup that they won to get here. And now it kind of feels like the hard work has only just begun. Inferno goes very, very well. It's arguable that this map is better, let's say, for the core of forZe, but then Mirage, I feel, has got to be an even easier map to just slot players in and let them do their own thing. So really going to be a tough one for Budapest Five moving into this third and final map, and bouncing back after the trouncing of that second half, that most recent half, of course, is also going to be difficult. So there's a lot of formidable obstacles to overcome for this Budapest Five side if they want to take down forZe.
Yeah, and I think as well, even like what the manner, I guess we could say, in which they lost Inferno doesn't leave me completely confident. Like, it was a lot of individual plays that we saw heavy sort of banana control taken by XE He was able to do pretty much whatever he wanted for the majority of the match. We saw forZe performing quite well, and it was like, sure, there were a few moments here and there where it looked like the Budapest Five could come back. It just seemed like for the first time throughout the day, we saw a few of their players go truly missing. Like, for example, Fleeve, who has been fantastic pretty much all the way through. So I think this is going to be a relatively tough one for them. Also, they face off against them in a more individual map, which, okay, sure, I didn't necessarily think they would thrive when it came to Mirage, but Mirage had a few players missing for Illumina. It didn't seem like they were particularly well set up earlier today. Whereas for forZe, they're at the moment playing in quite a loose style. Like they've got brand new players in the roster. Those players add quite a bit of firepower. I think Mirage is probably the worst place they could possibly go right now. The only thing you have to hope is for the side of Budapest 5 that they basically managed to get off to a strong start, and more importantly, they're able to deny a lot of the aggression.
Yeah, I think so, right? We're both in a similar kind of camp with that, and yeah, Budapest 5 will be realizing it. They did a really good job earlier of bouncing back after getting clapped on Nuke against Illumina, so I think they could do so here once again. But yeah, the strong start definitely needed. Pistols most of the time tend to go their way. Didn't happen on Inferno, right? So raises some questions about how important not only objectively the pistols are, but also to Budapest 5. I think we're getting into the action here, actually. Yeah, straight into the pistol, it appears, as we join midway through. And, well, strong start. That is certainly how you do it. A lot of damage done onto Fleeve, but other than that, really nothing for forZe to work with at all.
Yeah, surprising how dominant that was, in fact. Not a single kill going in the other direction, and for forZe now, well, we have to wait and see if they're actually going to force into this one. It doesn't seem so. Just going to wait and get themselves the AKs. XE will invest a little bit into a P250. In fact, so will Waro. But all that's really going to do is be an attempt to try and get some cheeky headshots and do a bit of extra damage. It looks like they're going for the classic you guys go B, I go A with bomb, which is one of the worst strategies ever created in all of Counter-Strike. I'm hoping that they're going to change their mind and at least try and sell it as some sort of double fake or an elaborate ruse, because for the bomb to go down here, they're going to need a miracle. Now, that miracle is mainly going to be Corey's going to have to screw this up as badly as humanly possible, and I'll be quite disappointed if he does.
Might even be a couple of them around to deny the bomb plan. We'll see. It's a very, very slow round here. They're really hoping someone walks into the four-man stack, maybe using it as a quasi timeout, the old existence strat. Or maybe we have a technical issue. Difficult to tell. But all the same, they're not really going anywhere for the time being. So, yeah, not a lot going on. Okay, so there will indeed be a reset of that round. and then a pause to follow up. So an issue in the forZe camp, unfortunately, folks. Hopefully into the action quickly, but things are not looking, much different than we would expect. Are they still going to eco this? I feel like surely you still have to eco it, get the AKs as soon as possible. It's just, obviously they want to sort this before moving forwards.
Yeah, with no extra kills, it's one of those things where you kind of go, okay, like realistically, what can you get into this round without just like spending all of your cash? So yeah, we're in a weird situation because obviously nothing much has happened throughout this map so far. Obviously for Budapest 5, they're back on the train of winning pretty much every single pistol that we've seen so far. Although in the last map was where that kind of had a blip on the radar. And as said, if it wasn't a dominant performance for forZe, you kind of had to question them a bit because, yeah, sure, they lost the second round, but it would have meant that they lost or they won both pistols and then had let the map slip away. Instead, though, on their T side especially, they looked utterly dominant, and while you kind of have to just sit and wait now to see whether or not they're going to be able to break back. Chances are it won't be till round number 3 anyway, and for the CT side, this is more of a money-making opportunity. Try and get that economy going, potentially go back into the double op setup again if they desire to. We haven't really seen Kolo pick it up too much, and to be honest, in the circumstances where he has picked it up, it's been a little bit disappointing. Like, I know that he can definitely AWP, it's just whether or not he will. And obviously then we have to talk about forZe as well, who on this map earlier in the day was one of the main features. Like, if he didn't succeed so much in the early rounds, especially versus Illumina, it's very difficult to see them actually winning that map.
See what information we have available. Unfortunately, not an awful lot coming through here, so does suck to have the technical pauses this early, to be honest. There's not as much fill content available, I guess, but very, very quickly Budapest Five's momentum going to be slowed down. That's certainly something.
I've got some filler. Let's move away from this map, because otherwise we're just going to end up repeating ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to look... I like looking at the overall standings. It's something I enjoy. Predicting who's going to win the whole thing is a little bit harsh, and I was very tempted to ask you that. But I want you to predict me the finals. So I've given you one step back. If you had to pick two teams that you think are going to be in the grand finals, Scriv, if you had to go on parry match, you take all of your stacks of cash, which you've earned from repeatedly going through and getting all those bonuses, who would you bet on to be in the grand final?
Genuinely, and there's like, no bias here. I think they can do it. I'm going to say Endpoint and Saw.
See, funnily enough, I was going to make the bold pick of Saw, and now you've kind of ruined my bold pick by doing that.
I'm sorry.
So I was going to give them a surprise, because I genuinely think Stadodo is an absolute tank of a player, and I've been enjoying seeing them in parts recently. So I think they'll be an exciting roster to see. I think realistically, you still have to throw someone like forZe in the mix, just because there is that possibility that they just go on a absolute tear as well. So there's opportunities, and I think there's a lot of CIS teams at the moment who have been really grinding out the sort of online aspect of things. Like K23 is another one. Espada as well have looked pretty good. So I think it's definitely up in the air. But yeah, no, I think those are some fair picks. I think Endpoint have really been flying the flag for the UK with a little bit of spice mixed into there as well. But we are back in. Our waffle is concluded. It is going to be the identical buy to what they did in the last round. So there's not any like spicy extra picks being thrown in by forZe. I have seen teams do that in the past, and in most cases, I guess it doesn't matter too much, but sometimes I'm just like, did you do that on purpose? Like, was that part of the plan? Oh, technical pause. I'm going to change my buy. I'm sure someone's done that. The same way I'm sure someone's called a technical pause and then gone and got themselves a pizza delivered or something. But in fact, I know a few players who have 100% done that, but I will not name them because, well, they'll probably never trust me ever again.
No, I know it definitely creeps in, doesn't it, to be fair, from time to time, especially in these more extended series. Of course, there's some filler content for us. The parry match odds coming up. banner down below gives you a bonus to your first deposit as well. So be sure to check it out if you like yourself a bit of a bet. This one is a difficult one to predict. You might just earn yourself something spicy if you indeed go for it. Corey finding the first. Waro can't get that second in. Does get the trade, of course, but it's still an advantage for Budapest 5 in our first rifle round. forZe coming through with it nice and early, getting the AKs as soon as possible. It's actually not working out just yet. Of course, who else to bail them out of the dire scenario than Exapower, as he gets that clean double by himself, no less, and now makes this round look very, very doable.
Yeah, he has been very, very good today. I've enjoyed watching him, and as I said, we sort of talk about consistencies when it comes to him. Obviously, his statistics are ridiculous, but hey, a big round with the rifle. For now, at least, looks like this is done. Kolor, his attempt here will be to try and steal some weapons away. Remove as much as possible, but more importantly, gain something for himself. He's being a bit greedy. Now, Fleave's already dropped one. That's an AK. They have trapped Jerry, although Jerry doesn't actually have to push much further. I'm sure he's going to want to try and remove this rifle. It's a big risk, because they could lose every single weapon, but he, in fact, takes that AK out of play and manages to keep one for himself. Now, we have to take into consideration that that round was a bonus round from Budapest 5. You might look at that and go, well, Tom, they lost it. It's a slip-up. It's a mistake. But with Fleave saving a gun and everybody else being able to purchase, that's actually a fine situation to be in. And for the T's, their money's in the bin. Now, I believe there's another technical pause. Unfortunately, it seems like forZe might have jumped the gun a little bit when it comes to their decision to unpause the game. But nonetheless, they do manage to win a round, even with whatever technical issue they were having.
Yeah, not sure. The loss can often spike, you know? I mean, we had, Carrigan on the weekend struggling with ping issues. That's one thing of the online era, you know? The Counter-Strike can be wacky, but of course, so can your internet connection. A little frustrating from time to time. I know that feel quite well. Countryside, UK internet, not so hot.
I think you could have just said UK internet and everybody would have been
true.
Fine. Like,
yeah.
The fact that, so I'm not in Ukraine at the moment. I'm currently at my parents' house, come back for Christmas. Still gonna work, but you know, gives me something to do while I'm quarantining, which is nice. But yeah, when I'm in Ukraine, you sort of get that. And I still remember my girlfriend was talking about like the packages that were on offer, and it was like 100 megabyte, a few hundred, and then she went up all the way to a gigabyte, and I was like, how much is a gigabyte? And she goes, oh, it's 10 euros. And I was like, what? And she went, is that expensive? And I went, no, no, that's as cheap as it gets. Like, you will never find gigabyte internet for cheaper than that. So, yeah, Ukraine's got it going on. I'm just going to say that now. Like, we talk about the European countries, but they have managed to nail it when it comes to internet, at least. So, yeah. If you are, this isn't an advertisement for Ukraine, but if you want cheap internet, cheap Brent, you know, I think it's a good place to be.
Yeah, there's
you'll see me soon on one of those adverts where it's like the guy is like, hello, my name is Tom, you should come to Ukraine.
I could see, I mean,
adverts.
that's some content idea for sure. You know,
yeah, I need
big push at the minute, isn't there?
If the guys from Malta want me to do one of their come to Malta adverts, you know, I feel like I'm a pretty good salesman. I've got a degree in marketing. Like, there you go.
There you go.
It'll just be me walking shirtless on the beach, which is something that no one will want to see. But there'll be one person who'll be like, you know what, this has made me want to come to Malta, and that'll be enough for me. It'll probably be someone I know, which is probably won't sell things quite as well as I'd hope for, because most of the people I know are already in esports. But hey, you know what? If they're going to start doing more LAN events in Malta, I think that will be dope eventually when we're allowed to. Because that was the thing. I feel like they were one of the companies I I felt genuinely bad for, because obviously there was meant to be a Pro League season over there as well, I believe. But that unfortunately never happened because it got moved online. Like the guys over in Malta were making like really big moves to sort of bring esports, like take it to a truly beautiful place as well. Like from everything I've seen, like, I'm very jealous of all the pictures I've seen from like Henry Machine and Sponge as well, with their pool and lovely weather. But like, they genuinely seem to love esports, which is awesome, because to have the backing of like more so even like a place than anything else, when a lot of countries are very against it or don't understand it. Like it's that was probably one of the scariest things, is going through like the baggage check yesterday, and the guy goes, "Oh, what do you do? Like, how have you been? Like, have you traveled for this long? Whatever it was." And then I go, "Oh yeah, no, I do commentary." And he goes, "Excuse me?" Like it's like I just said to him, like, "And yes, I was your mum," or just, like that was the face that he gave me. Like I just insulted his family. He was like, "Excuse me?" I'm like, yeah, video games. I like video games." Because the thing is as well, this is always what I love, especially when traveling. In most cases, I've done nothing wrong. Actually, no, let's take that back. In all cases, I've done nothing wrong, and I'm still sat there in the airport going, "Have I done something? Like, have I broken the law in any way?" But no. So hopefully I'll get to continue traveling. Hopefully all of this stuff will end soon and we'll get back to LAN events, and maybe we can have the European Development Championship on a LAN to finish, at least, like get some of the younger teams, some of the teams looking for opportunity. Because that is the thing I love about tournaments like this. Like, you are giving teams not only an opportunity to play for a decent cash prize, get yourself some notability, but it's also one of those things where it's like, it's good practice. Like, you might get a team like BezZP has said. I know next to nothing about that roster, but let's move on to, say, for example, the brand new Movistar Riders. They've only been around like a few weeks, I believe, maybe been practicing behind closed doors. They've made some bold choices, moving away from what was a fundamentally Spanish team and bringing in like an Estonian and a Dane to try and like fill in the gap, still under the leadership of Steel. And they're going to want to try and play against the likes of Hellraisers, Skade, Endpoint, forZe. They want to play these teams. They want to give them a run for their money. So the fact that there's tournaments like this that give them the opportunity to do so is fantastic. And without the support of, for example, the likes of Parimatch or the guys over in Malta who are helping tournaments like this even become possible, we wouldn't get this sort of Counter-Strike, and these teams would probably fail to exist. And I think the easiest way to prove that is look at what's happening in North America right now. There's not many organizations supporting, but also in terms of the amount of tournaments that are going on, there's not as many. Like, sure, you have stuff like MDL, which will keep some teams afloat, but I reckon if you had, say, tournaments like this, like tournaments that are going on at the same time, like 9 to 5 and stuff like that, where there's opportunities to not only plug your roster, but also have like some cash prize as well, there'd probably be much more interest in North America. I think it's a few-pronged problem. But thankfully, we do have a tournament, and I've managed to fill a hell of a lot of time by completely waffling on about stuff that I care about and no one else does. So, we're into the buy round, Scriv. I'm going to let you take it away and shut up for a second.
Yeah, I mean, get a drink of water. You've absolutely smashed it there, to be honest. But we're back into the action, of course. Rifles in play for forZe. We want to see them, if you are a forZe fan, of course, fight back, make things more competitive. Budapest Five, meanwhile, have had an awful lot of time to work things out here. Oh, flipped the MVP of the previous round with no kills. Brilliant. Corey comes in with the first frag of this one, meanwhile, taking down forZe pretty cleanly. A nice position here from Fleeve as well. Jerry, somewhat savvy to the fact, maybe heard the ladder, maybe knew he was in there. At the very least, it pays off. A quick reaction. I mean, it's not an angle that you expect at all, but he finds the frag nonetheless, and a solid advantage. The missed AWP shot means that forZe has to drop back. Nice open plant. Can't get the spam in early enough. And this is looking really, really good for forZe to clutch up.
Yeah, they'd have to make some pretty catastrophic errors here for this to go the wrong way. And the CT side, I think they know it as well as we do. Not going to be trying to make a move. Don't believe they have any sort of kit. They've also got to deal with Flit, who causing them problems. Waro as well has got further into the site. I do wonder if the CTs are aware of this, though, because it doesn't seem like they're going overly aggressive in. Like, normally, if you know the B site is clear, that's going to be your safe haven, mainly because the market is a pincer spot. You can have multiple players getting stuck. I'm not sure the communication was spot on there from the side of forZe. The flashbang actually leaving one of their own players blind. If they time that a little bit better, they probably get both kills. Instead, the AWP will survive.
They're definitely able to put something together here, aren't they? But not ideal. forZe are looking good. We've just seen how strong their T side can be. Certainly, oh, okay, taking some time. The quick boost coming in for forZe as he lands 2 quick shots. Third comes in as well. That one cost him his life, but I'm sure he's happy. His teammate Colo also chiming in should be good enough for the rest of the boys to clean up house. Just Exa Power surviving here. Does have the bomb. I mean, scared to even go for the plant, right? He has no idea where these players are coming from. Is he being flanked? Are they all at market? Is there one apartments? Don't really know. The one thing he does have is plenty of time. Nice pick up onto Fleeve. He's found many a great clutch on this B-bomb site of Mirage. Runs out of ammo, though. That's so unfortunate. And he will eventually get overwhelmed by the two of them. So, Budapest Five pick up their third just by the skin of their teeth, and I think they'll be happy to do so with the cash, or the lack thereof, that was available. It would have been rough to lose it.
Yeah, the fact that we get into a situation where XC Power has to ace it for them to win is that's not a good round. Like, yeah, sure, he does a decent job at it, but you kind of have to look at the rest of the team and wonder what on earth just went wrong. Flit, I think the only kill he's had so far in this game was catching someone leaving to rotate away, and that was through the murder hole once they'd already won the round. So basically what I'm trying to say, he's a player I highlighted that needs to be impactful in this map, and he has done absolutely nothing of value. forZe also is on 0 kills. So these are 2 players that we sort of highlighted in terms of firepower for this roster, and they've gone completely missing. And now they've even lost the likes of XC Power as well, who I think one of the 2 rounds he almost solely won for them. So a rough start to this map for sure. They need to get some of those stars popping off. I don't know if there's anybody actually going to try and retrieve that AWP either, so that isn't something that the T's will be able to utilize, as they have taken a decent amount of map control. Short going to be in play. Bit of spam coming through. Colo, though, he loves this little crossfire angle, using the wall to support him. Fleeve as well alongside. And forZe, he's hoping to try and get on the board here. It's not a 0-0 situation, Scriv, but it is an 0-5.
It's close, isn't it? He's definitely thinking about it. Pick up from Waro at the tail end, but nothing too much to write home about in that round. Budapest 5 finding some stability, looking good early on Mirage. Oh, and look how close the odds suddenly come. Still in favour of forZe from Parimatch. The map, and therefore match winner, of course. Banner down below takes you to their site, gives you that bonus on your first deposit. But either way, things looking really, really good here for the CT side. Another eco round for forZe, so it should be easy pickings, one would assume. forZe looking great on the AWP at the moment as well, which is a worrying sign going forwards.
But that's always the thing that is weird to me, is they are picking maps that don't suit their star. Because I sort of said it at earlier in the day, where Mirage came up as the 3rd pick and we had Nuke and Vertigo. And I was looking at that and I was going, okay, like, sure, he's a great AWPer, but I was like, okay, Mirage will be his best map. And then the 3rd map in the last series, Mirage was his best map. I was like, okay, maybe it's just a bit of a fluke. Like, maybe he does normally perform better on the other maps. And then we see him on Inferno, doesn't really have much impact. Nuke, he was okay. And then we go into Mirage, and he's by far the best player in the server at the moment. So, I don't know. I don't necessarily think you should veto a round 1 player. At the same time, if that one player is able to go and get 13 kills in 7 rounds, I'm probably vetoing in favor of that player. Like, that's what I would be doing at least. Now, sure, you're up against a team like forZe. 1 player probably isn't going to be enough, but you know what? Give your stars the chance to shine, and Who knows what can happen. It's not like it's a bad map for anyone else as well. I do wonder if the likes of a Dust 2 would be something that they're happy to go towards, but I would expect even maybe a train as well. But nonetheless, it doesn't seem like they're necessarily set up in that direction. Same sort of smoke that we saw earlier in the match prior. Coolio, I don't know how he's still alive here. Warro's jumped over the top of his head, hasn't spotted him, and made his way into the window. That information should have been given over to the other side. Now, Fleave's aggression into Palace is fairly hit and miss from what we saw from the match earlier. And because of that, they've lost a fair amount of control. In fact, in middle as well, forZe is going to get his first kill on the board, thankfully. And now things start to slip. A 3v5 situation, forZe basically hoping for a mistake.
Bomb making its way over, but the round has already ended. Just need that bomb to go off. Budapest 5, the remaining 3 of them, Budapest 3, I guess, are looking to take what they have into the next round. But yeah, definitely an interesting... The vetoes to me certainly stick out, you know what I mean? Seeing Nuke twice today from Budapest 5, I feel like after that first showing, you just kind of have to be like, yeah, not today, lads. Not today. Still a little bit more work to do. And then you pull it out against the stronger opponent of the 2 on the day and just win it. So, strange to me how quickly, how much easier these series could have been if they'd have, moved on to Mirage, moved on to... I think Dust 2 would be a great map for them. I don't know why we didn't see it at all. Maybe not against Illuminar, but where you're like the heavy underdogs against a forZe, I guess they're good on it, but you want to pull out that, massive upset map. Of course, shout out to Hellcase here. Use those codes, get yourself a 15% refill bonus, and of course none of this would be possible without them, so their continued support is muchly appreciated.
Again, heavy mid presence being the aim of the game. I believe is going to be waiting. We'll have heard a lot of footsteps in mid. Has the chance for Warro, but it's actually the Ukrainian that finds the kill elsewhere. forZe, good position. Again, now he's in play. He just seems to be the dominant force. He didn't get to do anything in the last round, but finds 2 quick kills in this one. Even goes for 3-peek back in. Man, third. But even still, it leaves us in a 2v2 situation. A possibility for Kolor here, wrapping back around, but he loses the battle. Coolio, it's a little bit off, but he manages to find both kills. forZe may be the hero, but Coolio's the closer, and that gives us a 6-3 scoreline. Money still enough, at least for this round for forZe, but it's not the best scenario for them to be in here, and at the moment, it seems almost impossible for them to streak any rounds together.
Right back to square one, aren't they? Right back to the drawing board, really. It's not like, they even bring it close with that one round. If it was back and forth, then maybe you can see why they're not stringing them together. But Budapest 5 are in control on their CT side, which is really, really great. It's often the place where teams like Budapest 5, especially, we've seen throughout the day, can lose control because they just lose the economy and keep buying and playing super aggressive, losing retakes, or even not losing them, but just making retakes very, very costly. Either way, it's a super fast round. Rushing over towards short. Finding the opener is Corey from window, I believe. forZe as well at CT. Finding one, but can't make his way out. Yeah, he knew the molly was coming in. He was forced to move at some point in this round. Unfortunately, it's after he only gets one. Could be enough, but we'll see.
It seems, again, things are just slipping. The bomb making its way towards the site, and Jerry looking to try and clutch, but it isn't going to happen this time. 7-3. He's now running out of money, and yeah, I would say the Budapest 5 have been firmly in control of this match. We've had pretty much every single one of the stars now go missing for forZe. And yeah, I'm guessing from what we've seen so far, they've only really been able to fit the players in the right place at the right time on maps like Inferno. I would guess at this stage, this is where I want to see some more sort of set calls coming out of Jerry. Like, I feel like they've been playing looser defaults and it's not really been working too well for them. They've gone for some mid control, but I just want to see a full-on execute. Like, direct the ship. Tell them exactly what to do. Give a player a job and that's it. Like, don't go for anything overly complex, like trying to have lurk players and rotators, because I think that's where things get lost in translation. Like, you might have slightly different comms to other people. People might not be used to your structure. As said earlier, some players might be used to giving information that would be impossible to ever know from a coach, for example. But yeah, I feel like this is a situation where he almost needs to be commanding. Like, this is what we're doing. Things are falling apart. And that's the problem that I have always foreseen when it comes to this forZe roster, is they've got the pieces, they've got the in-game leader, they've got the players who should be able to gel together. But when things go wrong, that's where this team just seems to fall apart.
Yeah, very emotional players as well, I think. Seeing them in the offline scenarios particularly, right? High highs and low lows, and I think maybe that's part of it, that sometimes they struggle to get out of the inevitable trough. So, because it is wild how crazy. Okay, Coolio. All right, unreasonable, but yeah, it's so strange how crazy one-sided things were at the tail end of Inferno, and now we come into this, and it's almost the opposite. They're not even a shadow of the shadow of themselves, right? They're really, really looking lackluster, and I don't know if that does come down to, you know, early doors, early days with this team. They don't really want to get super angry or whatever, you know, frustrated at each other, because obviously there's going to be problems. But at the same time, really should not be losing a series to Budapest Five, like, on reasonable maps for the core roster as well.
It seems like they are going for more of a set execution this time. Something I wanted to see in the last few rounds, but there's only two players here. Now, neither of them are the AWP of forZe, who, bear in mind, is currently 18-4, having an absolute lights-out performance, but they haven't spotted Corey out. forZe then rotates into support. He's from the connector, and they have slaughtered this. 27 damage is all that was done in that round to the side of Budapest Five. They started that off with only two players available. I don't know. I'm starting to think that we should just move Budapest 5 through to the next stage of the tournament, because forZe, they've fallen asleep. And this is the thing that's peculiar. As said, Budapest 5 are on their 6th map of the day. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, Tom, I actually play 6 games of matchmaking. It's a lot more stressful when you're at a professional level. The focus levels seem to drop a little bit. Smokes, Molotovs might not be connected exactly where you need them. And more importantly, forZe probably come into this a little bit more fresh, especially after building into the last map. Budapest 5, you know what? Color me impressed, because this is looking like an absolute light-out performance. They look like the ones that have managed to sort of have a slightly more relaxing start to the day and just come into this decider match. And instead, they played the long haul, and now they're obliterating their opponents on Mirage.
Absolutely looks to be the case, and it's continuing into this round. That reload timing is rough. Actually kind of makes things even here. Nice deagle finish from forZe. Okay, it's all good. Recovery comes in. Damage has been done, though, for sure. And you never know. These are the rounds that this man sometimes pulls out of the bag. Not this time, though. Coolio will deny him. Double digits hit. And potential to go even further, actually, on the Budapest 5 side of things. I kind of feel there's...
Only 3.9. Okay, that's definitely wrong. There's no way that's correct. I don't believe that for a second. You can get your bonus in the banner below and check out maybe what the actual odds were. Because I think the first one is possible to be correct. But the second one that says the odds are still over 3 for Budapest 5 when they're already winning 10-3, like, that would have to be some pretty confident fans. Because at this point, I have no confidence in this forZe roster. They are getting bullied and battered no matter where they go. Well, for side of Budapest 5, they look fantastic. forZe leading the charge, 21-5. A superb performance from him. They can keep it up, they don't stand a chance. Might be a little bit more difficult going into the T side, but nonetheless, I'd still have faith. Nice nade to deny them any further. Flit, however, he finally gets himself another kill. Doesn't last long, though, as Jerry falls in response, and now they're going to try and switch things up. They've still got plenty of time, however, Corey's positioning. Spot on. Denies them a push through the window, and forZe, well, yeah, that's about right, to be honest. I think he's 1-13. That is as rough as it gets.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. I'm a little lost for words on it, to be honest with you. forZe, you know, need I say more, to be honest? Like, it's just unfair at this point. He is on a completely another level, not just to forZe, but to his own team. Absolutely flying. So I'd like to see them refine this map and pull it out more often, to be frank. Oh, brilliant stuff. He's going to take the reface as well, of course. Yeah, maybe needs to be a bit careful. Fleave's taking a large chunk of damage. So it's an early opener, but actually a lot of HP damage done. So forZe could definitely swing it in their favor.
It seems like forZe just threw everything in there, desperate to try and get himself back onto the board, and it's not going to be the case. 1-14. He's taken a leaf out of my book in terms of his fragging capacity, and again, it's left on to EDC. He's managed to thread the needle, found a way through the smoke, and it should give him a freebie kill onto forZe. That's one, but there's still 3 more to find. Surrounded, and a 12-3 half for the Budapest Five. Very impressed. 25 kills and a half from forZe. As said, like, it looked like this is a map that they should be playing more, because this man is a ridiculous AWPer. The last few maps that we've seen them play throughout so far don't really sit in his favor. Like, sure, you definitely can AWP well on Inferno, but I feel like it's a niche rather than a necessity. Nuke Vertigo can be fairly tough. I want to see them playing maps like Dust 2, Mirage, Train. Like, give this man a pedestal. Like, put him up, rise him up, get him in position, because he's been utterly ridiculous on both maps of Mirage.
Here we go, burst over the top. Budapest 5 looking to continue the trend into the second half. And, well, forZe, you can feel it, just nervous. They are scared as the Glock train comes towards them, backing in towards CT, trying to play the bait setup. Not going to work out, though. Coolio takes down Jerry. Maybe the long con play, but, yeah, nah, does not work at all. forZe, the only one left. Good for one, but that is all. 13-3. Budapest 5 looking to send it home, win the series 2-1.
Yeah, we need to see a force by victory from forZe if they're really going to stand a chance. Otherwise, it will just be force buys. I would be very, very surprised if they eco in the next round and try and play from 15-3. Like, that would be well, that'd be a pretty bold call. Like, if they go for it, respect, but I don't necessarily have that same respect. EDC looking to get aggressive. It is only with a scout. It's not his trusty AWP, and he can definitely do the damage, but I think he's been spotted. Doesn't matter. Takes down the mammoth that has been forZe and gives them an opportunity in this round. Now, for the remainder of the T's, they're going to reclaim control of the bomb and look to try and pressure into middle. They've left Fleave behind. I feel like he almost lives in the palace. He's taken refuge. Looks to try and set up that initial control. However, with the current setup from the CT side, they are very well placed to deny him here. 4 players ready and waiting, patiently watching for anybody to try and come through. And as of right now, they've got this spot on.
There you go, early tag. Fleave and Kolor both going to chime in. The frags with the Deagles, though, coming back in, of course, working in tandem with the scouts, looking good. At the very least, keeping things even. Now all onto Coolio, gets traded quickly. definitely comes close, but a chaotic round as to be expected with the stack on A, like you say, guessing correctly. And execution is clean from forZe as well. So very nice indeed. Gives them some good room to work with now they've actually gained control within the context of the second half. Obviously, the game's still quite far away from them, but at the very least, it's something to work with.
Lit finally starting to come back into things a little bit. It's been a poor performance from him, Waro, and forZe. Combined kills of only 15, and that's not great. It seems like both of them are starting to come up all at the right time. A few kills going in the direction of two of the underperformers, and for the T's, this is an investment. They've put in all of their cash to try and break back here. Of course, they've got a lot of rounds to play with, but at the same time, you don't want to allow anything back in. Waro's luck doesn't seem to be getting any better. Peek through from forZe, though, as he's trying to pad the stats a little bit more. Flit loses his head as well. But eventually, it will be a close. Jerry with the HE gets them their 5th round. And now for the T side, it has to be a save.
Where do they go from here? I mean, obviously their T side just getting started here. If you are just joining us, might not believe that, but of course the 12-3 half on their CT side. Still, honestly, do not completely rule forZe out of this one, particularly with the way that they have, like I say, wrestle back control quickly in this second half. Looking pretty strong in the early rounds. I think their CT side could be formidable. We've got a lot of strong individuals across the board that can hold things down well. The totem pole, however, too much for Jerry to deal with. Does get one. Needs to be careful not to lose any more at this point. A little difficult for Flip, but he does get it done. That final one through the smoke as well. Nice and easy. This is, of course, so what we've been waiting for, really, is the buy round from Budapest Five. I think they need to nip this in the bud as soon as they possibly can. If forZe can build up bank and confidence, it could be troublesome. The solo AWP, of course, of exit power, but you never know. They might pull a double AWP setup out somewhere. Waro was using it on Inferno. So I think there's... Oh, he's using it here as well. Excuse me. He has indeed picked up into this round. So, yeah, there's an awful lot to worry about for Budapest 5, actually. I can see forZe pulling this back if some of these early rifle rounds go their way.
It's possible. I still think it's unlikely, though. I'm really not in the ballpark of this side on this map, at least. It would have to be a pretty bleak situation for Budapest 5 to not be able to get 3 rounds on the T side. And with forZe still looking to continue his run of form, could be over before you know it. Flit somehow manages to survive. Actually gets the kill onto forZe through the smoke. I think he's already got more kills in this half than he did in the entirety of the last one, which is pretty impressive. It may not matter, however, because although XC Power was alive at the back of the site, his teammates have all fallen down. The pins have been bowled. It's left with him just trying to save onto his gun. A short-lived comeback, it seems, although with the amount of money they currently have plus an AWP save, they would be able to go for a pretty solid buy in the next round. However, they really needed to streak the rounds together, I feel, a little bit earlier. Like, they've not got themselves in a good position at all.
Yeah, I think like that, the dream, the vision of it might just be dissipating, to be honest. Still a bit of hope, still a dim light at the end of the tunnel, all those, you know, cliche phrases, but all the same, things are just not looking good. Yeah, I'm starting to join you on that side. I think that it's not really doable. Still a decent buy coming into this round, in all fairness. The double upsell once again didn't find success with it in the previous, like, at all. But trying it and maybe finding more success this time around. So 1 for 1. It kind of works out for the T side, to be honest, particularly because it's a 1-for-1 at middle, such a heavily contested area. They come away with a fair amount of control, actually opt to give it up, but as you can see, there are so many blue dots in and around mid. They've created distractions, they've left holes in other places of the defense that now need to be plugged, and correctly, do they think, ooh, is it going to be an A hit? Is it going to be a B hit? I think they themselves are very, very unsure. This is a difficult spot. Yeah, needs to land the headshot. Not going to happen. It's forZe, actually, to take him down. And that could make all the difference. The B hit now coming in. forZe is just so much quicker than you. This is looking so good. forZe has to step up massively. He does get one, but that is not enough at all. Nowhere near. Jerry on the other side of the map, hoping to save, I guess, as they can see this game, series, and spot in Group A just disappearing.
I honestly, I think if this went to the full 30 rounds, forZe would break some sort of record. He's currently got 30 kills in 21 rounds. Like, that is ridiculous. Like, the man is on an absolute tear. He just doubled entry'd. So he not only killed the player pushing through underpass, which is a position where XePower normally manages to thrive. Like, he gets quite aggressive quite regularly. He then runs across and entries into the B site as well. So it seems like they've just unleashed him for this map. He is currently, I believe, maybe double anyone else in the entire server. That includes players on his team. So everybody on his team has either got 15 kills, which 3 of them actually have, or less. On the other side of things, the most kills currently in play is actually going to be Flit. So he's had a decent comeback from what was a really poor first half. But that's ridiculous. Like, he's basically the difference maker. If he was on the other side, you almost feel like they would be winning. So one of the hardest carries I think I've seen in a while, and yeah, it's good to see forZe performing.
Flip does find the opener into this round. The desperate save, of course. Another frag coming in. Although the trade's attempted from forZe, it's just the one. Yeah, looking good here for the CT side. Budapest Five just charging their way forwards. Double from Jerry to clean up. Still match point, but actually buying themselves some time. The money is a little shaky. I'm not quite sure what the idea is here. I guess they're going to go for it. I mean, I would have maybe liked to see, you know, the richer players get AKs. But yeah, we've got a P250 in here and limited utility, so it's definitely not the best of buys for Budapest 5. They've got time, I guess. It's the two philosophies of, do we use our time to wait and get the best buy possible, or do we use our time to constantly pressure our opponents and force them to make a mistake?
Corey does manage to find one on the push, and actually Coolio's caught another. This gives them an extra AK, but leaves it all onto Coolio and Flit. He has had an amazing resurgence. I didn't catch the final number, but there was a point where I think it was forZe had 1 kill and he had 2. And in that time, forZe's got up to 7 kills and he's got up to 16. Like, Flit has had a complete turnaround after what was an atrocious first half, and now actually looks like one of the most impactful players in the entire server. In fact, he is now the second top fragger in the entire server, joint with a couple of other players on Budapest 5. Now, after the investment in the last round, they are going to be getting a 9th round, or very likely, because the Hungarians actually have next to no money available.
Or Flit, shooting gallery for him, stat pad in, there you go, there's even more. Maybe he's going to go positive by the end of this round. They back away, however, but I don't really see it happening. They were trying to waterfall in. Flit is in, like, the perfect position to deal with them, so slightly unlucky in that sense. And now a wrap back around to B? No, a wrap back around to mid? Or just chilling? I'm not sure. Waro, though, looking good. Cool, calm, and collected, of course, against the Glocks. That's exactly how you need to be. It does come close, but he gets himself 3 of his own. Getting past 10 also. So there you go. Things looking up for forZe in the stats department, but still 6 more rounds to go. A lot of work to be done. And another buy to fend off against.
Yeah, I think chances are all they're going to be saving is their stats, as their position in this tournament still looks very unlikely. You're relying on the fact that they're not going to be able to do too much already. It is going to be a double opener for the CT side. The flashbang has left them so blind, with Warrior already finding out one. I don't think they realized that they didn't kill forZe. I don't know how he's managed to get to this position, but it won't matter too much, as eventually Waro kills him off. It was like there was spam going through. Jerry, I thought, saw him almost as clear as day, and I wonder if he just saw somebody die and just was like, oh, okay, that must have been the guy.
More time being bought. I mean, again, not quite believing if it were a second or a first map, there'd be benefits to this, but they just have to keep grinding these rounds out and hoping that no one makes a mistake on that forZe side. I mean, Budapest 5, it seems in this round, are really hoping that someone does, because they're all just chilling, waiting for the push to come into them. forZe, though, oh, this could be a great angle, could be a terrible angle. It really does depend on the reaction speed. Manages to get one, and then opts to drop down. I'm a fan of that rather than sticking around. Nice little molly from his teammate as well to buy him some room to work with. So, nice early pickup. Generally speaking, in these anti-eco, anti-force buy scenarios, once you get that first one, so long as you're cool, you should be able to clean up house. The two of them now as well, pushing forwards, looking good. Very nice stuff from forZe to make sure there's no shenanigans. So 11th round for forZe picked up. No skin off their back, no sweat off their brow at all.
And actually, this is going to be a tactical pause now for Budapest 5. Probably a good time to take it. You're getting in towards the danger zone. Your opponent's starting to climb back into the map, and with the momentum firmly in their favor, forZe could easily bring this back to 15-15. Now, you almost have to hope for Budapest 5 that that doesn't happen, because I think they've deserved the victory. They've definitely been the better team in this map. forZe especially deserves a win in this scenario. And on the other side, we've seen some very quiet performances now, actually, with Exi Power slipping further and further down the board as Flit looks to rise. Question will be, they eventually slip. 15-11. T's slowly taking over some Palace control, so waiting patiently at the top of mid. Not spotting anything, though, as of just yet. No real aggression coming through, although Jerry definitely looks tempted to try and make a play. It's a standoff through the apartments. As of right now, neither team wanting to push.
Crack angle for forZe. Exapower also playing contact. Ooh, okay. No, alright. He's dropping a smoke. I was going to say, this is interesting, although he is starting to posture a bit more passively on B. Really, really tense stuff here in round number 27, right? No one wants to be the player to make the mistake on either side, it feels like. I think they both realise the comeback is doable. One secured for Flit. Maybe he needed a bit more for his trouble. Does a lot of damage. forZe as well, the old classic. They never expect two players in the same position. And he does get away with one, but again, not quite enough. Extra power missing his shot, plucks forZe out of midair. Misses the easy one, hits the difficult one, of course. And now all left onto Coolio. 1 on 3. Looking to try and do some more damage, but the round itself not looking too good. After an early miss shot, Extra power cleans things up. So, 12th round now secured. No bomb plant for Budapest 5 means, yes, you've got the loss bonus slightly built up, but it's not enough to fully invest. So, a weird amalgamation of a buy. Fleeve buying a bit too much, I think. Didn't quite get the memo. The rest of the team half buying.
He's gone for the hero Galil. Not a sentence I ever really wanted to say, but you know what? Maybe if he gets a kill or two, and with the loss bonus they have, it shouldn't be too much of a problem into the next round. Here we go. They're just going to go for the aggressive playthrough. They've missed a player that's actually on the Palace, and because of that, they get slaughtered. You don't want to let Jerry get away with things. Exy Power not missing a shot. They are just 2 rounds away from evening things up. It seems like Budapest are choking for air at this point because they are letting this one slip all the way back, looking such a dominant position. I think it was, what, 15-6 or something like that? And since then, they've struggled to win a single round.
Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Like I said towards the start of the second half when they won that force buy, you can definitely see forZe just pulling it out of the bag. And getting there, bit by bit. It's just the fact that they have no room. You know, as soon as they lose grip, they'll fall all the way back down and not be able to get back up. They'll be out. So... yeah, it's rough, and that pressure sometimes can get to players. Exit Power getting aggressive in the Palace, looking to find the opener. I think Fleeve is very, very aware of the fact around the corner, but what is his game plan? No one else seems to be around. I think he's waiting, biding his time, maybe hoping his teammates pull off the distraction. Beautifully done by Fleeve on the shoulder peak and the re-peak to find the frag. Magnificent stuff, and definitely the opener that they needed. He'll find another. Corey's also chimed in. I think this might just be it. 5-on-2 with forZe holding them down towards middle. Looking really, really good. He does go down. Not before he gets information. forZe trying to do what he can. It's all onto Waro. He has to find 4, and from what we've seen of him across the course of the day, I'm not sure that he is capable of this. Clean little one tap to open up. Looking for a little more, but yeah, eventually... peaked by too many men at the same time, he will go down. And Budapest 5 have done it. 2-1, knocking out forZe.
Yeah, it definitely got a little bit more shaky, I guess we could say. Like, I was kind of hoping that that would be a nice clean win, a confidence builder for them. But yeah, they've done what looked like a mammoth task. They played 2 best-of-3s today, eliminated both Illuminar and forZe, and basically set them up for the latter stages of the tournament. So a huge congratulations, of course, to the Budapest Five. As you can see, they have proceeded their way through to the playoffs. And yeah, the only loss they actually had was to Endpoint, who managed to get themselves through the group cleanly. So yeah, huge props to them. I'm sure Illuminar and forZe are both going to be bitterly disappointed, but while Budapest 5 have earned themselves a well-earned break. Nonetheless, of course, that is us pretty much done for today, but we do have other matches coming up throughout the rest of the week, so make sure you're already following the channel. Obviously, a huge shout out to everybody involved, for example, the guys over in Malta, and of course, Parimatch as our main sponsors. Anything to say, Scriv, to sort of round out the day? Are you happy to see the Hungarians succeed?
Yeah, I think so. After a shaky start to the day, they really bounced back well. They have that one-track style of play, super aggressive, some really strong individuals across the board. I just hope next time, maybe the vetoes are a bit more thought out and help some of those strong players to really thrive.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Well, nonetheless, it's been a bit of a longer one. You may be thinking, Tom, it's fairly early in the day. It can't have been that long. Well, it felt like it. 6 maps out of 6. It has been a tiresome one, but again, congratulations to the Hungarian side of Budapest 5. Join us again tomorrow, where we will be kicking off Group B.